See, I remembered. I told him, I was like, I was just looking for a bullshit one that I made, and I was just kind of like, well, I was looking for like some stock footage of a train derailing, but I thought that might be a little tacky, so I didn't. I just saw that DJ Maniac said you just found out that one of his ex-girlfriends died in February and nobody called him. So shit, man. I'm sorry to hear that. That's pretty shitty, you know. But yeah.
I guess they thought you knew. Look at Pook.
Or nobody thought about it, which is like really...
No. Stop it.
What's she doing?
Trying to go bite shit. Stop biting shit.
Man, why you want to chew on stuff? Where are your chicken sticks?
She goes...
What's the matter? Why are you being so ornery today? She's in her terrible teens, I guess. Yeah. Well, she's 4.
Yeah. What's up with you?
You know. She already went through terrible 2s, now she's terrible 4s.
Yeah.
But she's a cat, so it's like age is different.
Yeah, I guess she's constantly getting into shit.
Yeah, you're like a little toddler, Pookie. That's what you are. Ghostface Kitty says, Pookie! Yeah.
So just getting into the drink. Yeah. Today, got that Pinnacle coconut and pineapple. Jenny's got creamsicle over there.
Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm. Today's edition is the Manly Man edition.
The Manly Man edition.
Manly Man edition is a trap. Okay. I see how this is going. People are going to they're going to be in the comment sections asking me crazy ass questions and trying to get me to say shit that's going to get the channel banned. Because I'll fucking say all kinds of crazy shit once I fucking drink it. Alright? But even though the shit's crazy that I say, it's true. Of course, man. It's always true. You know? That's why I'm always in trouble. I can't lie. I can't lie and keep a straight face. You know?
Although...
And there's to come start laughing, so maybe
I was going to say, although, like, believing something is true and it actually being true are two completely different things.
I'm on the fucking George...
I will say that.
I'm on the George Costanza level. It's not a lie if you believe it. Just like out of...
Well, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I just said.
Yeah, that's not a lie.
But I'm just saying that it's like, those are two completely different things, though.
I'm seeing evidence.
Well, he started talking about that the other night because again, Pookie was like doing some shit. She is really into Tom's shoes, right? Yeah. Thank you. No need for me to. Here's a hello to get the ball rolling.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
It's going to take me a minute to get warmed up.
Yeah, we just got here.
Just got here.
So Pookie loves his boots. So the second he like takes them off, she's like, "Oh, goody!" And like she jumps over there and starts going.
Yeah, by the heel. She goes to the heel and starts pulling on them. I call it raping my boots. Stop raping. And she's raping. And she's getting into it. She's and she'll pull threads out of them and everything, you know.
And she knows this. The thing is, she knows she's not supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So she'll do it when you're not looking, but she doesn't understand that you can still hear her. Yeah. And like it makes a distinctive noise. Yeah. But I still think she does it just to get a rise out of you. No,
she forgets. Lust takes over her, and she must rape. She must rape. So she starts raping, like that. And when I walk up, she looks and goes, "Oh shit!" and then fucking jumps up and runs. And sometimes she can't get her claw out of the damn back of the boot. And the boot, she's chapped on the boot, trying to let go of it. It's fucking funny. Well, and she starts going because she knows she's in trouble. Yeah,
I don't know, but it feels like she's such a drama queen because she knows no one's gonna do anything to her. No. Like we're not gonna hit her or anything like that. We've never done that.
It's just getting caught is enough.
Yeah, so she gets like super. It's just like if you have like a toddler and he's like happily like drawing all over the walls in crayon. Yeah. And then it's like he knows he's not supposed to, but it's just so fun and he can't resist it. Yeah. And then like and as soon as you like catch him doing it, he's like, oh.
Yeah. I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what Pookie does. Yeah. Because she knows what she's not supposed to do, and she knows what she's supposed to do. Because, like I said, the second, like, she comes in here and starts chewing on... She has chew sticks. I give her, like, little chew sticks that are, like, have chicken and catnip on them and stuff. But it's, like, it's the second she comes in and starts chewing on cords, all I have to do is take out that bottle of Febreze. It could be empty. Yeah. I take the bottle of Febreze out and she's like, "Oh shit!" And then she like runs out of the room because she's like, "Oh, that's the hisser thing."
It hisses, yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah. It's fucking funny.
Oh, here we go. Okay, Sandra's name today is Jean-Paul Pierre Francoise's sister.
Okay, all right.
Now, that was the alien, right? That was the Raelian guy's alien. Because remember I said, like, I made you guess, like, what the alien's name was? And since the dude was French, you said that his name was Jean-Paul Pierre Francois.
Yeah, that's my French name.
Is it?
Yeah, I got a German name, too.
What's that? Schwanstucker?
No. Eckhart. Eckhart Wolfgang Immelmann. That's my fucking German name. That shit's German as fuck, man.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. I sound real German when I put that on. I sound like I can do something. You know, I sound real competent. Like I invented something, you know.
Sounded like you wrote this really inscrutable tome on like deep philosophy or some shit.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And did some questionably, like some ethically questionable experiments on humans.
Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds like that kind of name.
Yeah, Eckhart. Yeah.
Sorry out there if that's anyone's actual name.
Eckhart Wolfgang Immelmann. That's fucking. You know, oh yeah, we know all about that guy. Yeah. He was in charge of the 33rd Panzer. That's right. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Saunders says, Tom, that's quite the German boomer name.
That's a boomer name. Yeah, German boomer name. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's like the name of my theoretical grandfather. My theoretical German grandfather.
We've all got one, you know.
Yeah. If I had a grandfather, that's what his name. A German grandfather. His name would be that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What brought this on?
He had a monocle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Was he a manly man?
Oh yeah. He was actually that dude from fucking Young Frankenstein. You know, the Burgermeister.
Yeah, that was your like actual grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one with the arm with like the
arm. Yeah. What was it called? The Burgermeister. He was that cop. That German
like the
cop.
wooden arm with like that he put darts in and shit.
Motherfucker came in and brought discipline. Did you see that shit?
Thank you, TV triggers. Tom just says things and it comes out as gold. It does, I know.
Thank you. The Poltergeist said it.
He's absolving himself of responsibility.
Yeah, but that dude right there, man, fucking in that movie, I was impressed with him. I wish I had those kind of skills. He just showed up and fucking took charge and fucking laid out a bunch of discipline and a bunch of precision. Put down some of that Prussian precision on people, and you know, and solved the crime, didn't he? Yeah, he figured it. Yeah, and he got the whole town to rise up against Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Germans do, you know. That's what they're gonna do, you know.
Gonna gather up the torches and they're gonna go like hang out in front of Frankenstein's castle.
They've been doing that shit for thousands of years.
They're not standing for that.
Yeah, they've been doing that shit for thousands of years, man.
No tampering in God's domain.
Fucking right.
Sandra says my grandfather's name was Otto.
Yeah, that'll work.
I actually think Otto is kind of a cool name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that name? That seems like a name that hipsters would give their babies. Am I wrong?
I don't know, but Sandra,
it sounds like a hipster baby name.
Sandra said that name there was a fucking German boomer name. All right. Fucking these new Germans, those fuckers wearing leather pants and flip flops and shit. Fucking curly hair, perms. They're wearing perms. I'm not approving.
And listening to David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, they listen to David Hasselhoff. Leather pants, sandals.
What is it about that David Hasselhoff thing? I don't know.
His name, I think.
No, I mean, I kind of feel like
he was a German American, and I guess the Germans just thought that was fucking cool. I mean, he was on Knight Rider. He was talking to a car.
That's right.
Yeah, Germans know all about that. They're going, oh yeah, we over-engineered it. Yes. Germans are over-engineering even in America. Yes.
I don't know. That's just very, very funny to me. I'm sure it's probably not relevant anymore, but I just remember hearing like a long time ago that like Germans were super into David Hasselhoff, which we thought was very funny because like we always thought he was like just super cheesy.
I think it's
like he was cool when he was on Knight Rider, kind of. But after that, like, he tried to have a pop music career, and America was like, no.
No, he wasn't the right kind of celebrity for that. I think
we're not allowing that.
No. I think the reason why Hasselhoff became popular in Germany wasn't because of him. It was because of tits. Boobs. He was on Baywatch.
That's right. I forgot. Okay. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
He was on Baywatch. And
I'm all like an old person. I'm just thinking about Knight Rider.
And at that time, Pam Anderson, she was just, the pinnacle of fucking femininity. You know what I mean? She was fucking super hot. Didn't weigh much. Had perfectly round implants.
About 3 ounces.
Yeah. She had that tattoo going around her arm and the fake lips.
The barbed wire tattoo.
Yeah. And
all the rage.
And I think those boobs called attention to Hasselhoff. There's a dude named Hasselhoff. There's a German American on that program, and somehow or another he capitalized off of fucking
and
Pam Anderson's
breasts?
Boobs.
Oh my god!
He started capitalizing off Pam's boobs and going to Germany and making money.
He was bouncing off her boobs.
Bounced off her boobs right over into Germany.
I just imagine like a little tiny David Hasselhoff wearing a leather jacket and a scarf like he wore on the Berlin Wall when it came down, and he was just like bouncing up and down on Pam Anderson's boobs like it was a trampoline.
He Saxonized Pam Anderson's boobs for the Germans. He gave it.
He made them palatable to the German populace.
That's what happened. In my mind. Sandra might be able to explain it. She might be able to explain
what a place your mind is, Tom. Although I can't really criticize because I was just like picturing a little tiny David Hasselhoff jumping up and down on Pam Anderson's boobs, so I can't really say anything about it.
Hasselhoff was big though. Really. Yeah, but he was there was nothing.
But in my mind he's not. In my mind he's like this size.
I think Hasselhoff was at least 6 feet tall. He looked tall.
Why you want to be no fun? Mm-hmm. But then, he's too big to jump on her boobs. We need him to be small enough to jump on her boobs.
Okay. That's
what I'm saying. So he has to be like this big, so he can go doing.
They're saying that, saying they love the Hasselhoff.
It was just kind of like, I don't know, it's like really weird. It was just kind of like, I remember that when I was in Wales, and I remembered how much the older people in Wales fucking couldn't get enough of Tom Jones, man. The generation older than me, you go to any pub, whatever, on a Saturday night, and they're playing Tom Jones, and every drunk ass old person in there is singing along. And I'm not shitting on Tom Jones, because Tom Jones is actually pretty rad, but I just thought that was super, super funny.
He's dead now, isn't he? He's gone, right?
Is he dead?
I think he might be gone. I haven't heard of that guy. I haven't heard that guy in a long time.
I don't know. It's funny because we were watching what's her name, Joy Jean's channel, Empress Joy Jean, and somebody had sent her an old Tom Jones song, in the old black and white days, and I had forgotten how fucking awesome because I kind of feel like I was more familiar with Tom Jones with kind of the chintzy Vegas era, which is still kind of cool, because I kind of like that loungy kind of shit, that schmaltzy. I kind of like that. But when he she was watching a video of him, I can't even remember what song it was, but it was an older one, from the early 60s or something like that, and I was like, shit, I forgot, that dude could really fucking sing, you know what I mean? And it wasn't all schmaltzy, it was an actually serious kind of song.
Somebody Tom Jones is alive, they said. Yeah, okay. Hasselhoff. Sandra said that fucking Hasselhoff was looking for freedom. Germans love that shit. Which I guess they might be she might be talking about Hasselhoff standing on top of the Berlin Wall.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tom Jones, that's another song I sing to Pookie sometimes. I go, "What's new, Pookie Cat?" Yeah. She doesn't know what I'm doing. I try to think of songs that I can put her name into that I can sing to her, but the cheesier the better, you know what I mean? I really like Barry Manilow or Neil Diamond or ABBA or something like that, but the problem is it's I know the songs but I don't know all the words, so a lot of times I'll just do the chorus over and over.
I'd have to ask Sandra. I don't know, when I was in service in the early part of the 90s, we had a lot of guys that were joining our unit in the 101st, and they had come from Germany. Mostly NCOs. They had a good time in Germany. They liked it. I went through Germany on my way to Egypt. Was there for probably about a day and a half. I was in Frankfurt, mostly around the hotel waiting. I'm waiting with all these other fucking GIs and shit. So I got to see it, traveling from one airport to the next and going to the little hotel, but we didn't really get to go anywhere. We were locked down. But it looked cool. It was real high tech, real clean. It was weird. It wasn't like an American city. It didn't have like a center to the city. It was spread out. You'd have a tall building over there and another tall building way over there and one way over there. So it was kind of like you could tell that it had been planned, I guess planned by some kind of central planning thing. It wasn't something that evolved organically. It was probably blown up in World War II.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say.
So it was
because remember that little thing that happened back in the 40s? Okay.
Right, so there was no downtown that I saw, really, But it was kind of cool. But some of the guys that I knew that had come back from there, who had been there for a couple years, they had a great time, but they said Germans were just authoritarian. They just, no matter what you did. So they were just authoritarian. If they guilt trip each other a lot, and there's like a right way to do things, and you can't deviate from the right way to do things. And if you're told to do something, you have to do it. Whatever the government says, that's what you got to do. We tell you must do this. It's the right thing. You do it. They weren't really a kind of a people to go, fuck you, I ain't doing that. They evidently weren't like that. Which and I don't know if they're still like that, but they were saying that these guys who had lived there, American guys who had lived there for a couple years, said that they were always like that. You could go back fucking 200 years, they were like that. Just kind of like, okay. They just did whatever they were told. And I don't know if you guys are still like that. Sandra probably wouldn't know, actually, because it would just seem normal to her.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like hard to know. It's like, what your overriding culture is like if you're not, until you're like outside of it, or until you like talk to people that have never lived here and like perceive it in different ways. I'm always like entertained how people perceive Americans and vice versa. I'm always like really fascinated by how Americans perceive other cultures, usually incorrectly, but you know what I mean? But it's, it goes both ways, because I think a lot of times, people that have never been here, they only, all of the shit they see about American culture is filtered through our entertainment, which, is pretty diverse, but it's not, I don't know, it doesn't really like convey what the reality is like on the ground. And the thing is that about American culture is it's not monolithic. It's really,
each state is its own country.
Well, even that, like each city is its own thing. It's like everybody's just a mongrel. Everybody's from somewhere else, and it's just kind of like it's just a very transient, immigrant culture, so there's not really one thing. I mean, especially not nowadays. I feel like back in the day, I think there was kind of like a mainstream culture, sort of, but I don't really know if that's so much the case anymore.
I think it is.
Like to a much lesser extent than it used to be.
There's a big difference between cities and rural areas. Rural areas they change a lot more slowly than city areas, and that's everywhere.
Well, yeah, that's everywhere around the world.
Everywhere, right. So you can't really judge America by cities. Cities go in and out of vogue and style. Cities actually disappear. There are some cities that are gone. Like Gary is gone. Most of Detroit is gone. There were California towns that are gone. The little village that my dad lives in right now, Heidelberg, it's basically gone. I think it had 1,700 people in it at one time. They all died. It's probably got 400 people in it now. And it's not the same people, That village is, my dad's the last white guy. It's all black people. And before it was a German town, German village, but they all just died out. Now, the black people that live there, you could say, what are they, immigrants? No, they're not immigrants. They've been there for generations and generations. They just moved from another town. You know what I mean? So in rural areas, things kind of go at a damn snail's pace. All of Mississippi went like that. All the young white people moved away of my generation. Why would you stay there?
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. It's like, if you want to make a life for yourself.
Right.
Sandra is answering your question about Germany. She says, good Lord, no. Not authoritarian. I would say it's quite the opposite. Very open, you can do whatever you want and nobody bothers you. Yeah, she said, I was in the goth scene like 20 years ago. Nobody ever bothered them because of their looks or whatever. Everybody just kind of like did their own thing. So, you know. Mm. I worked with a guy who was in the military, and he had actually been stationed in Germany pretty much his whole time because he was in during peacetime. And he loved it there. Right. He was always like talking about going back.
Right. Well, maybe she's not thinking, maybe she's looking at authoritarianism in a different way. Let me ask you this. If Germany passes a law, do you guys follow that law or do you break that law?
Well, that depends on what the law is, doesn't it?
No. There's some people that will just follow laws. There are other people that just will not follow laws. They call them criminals. All right. You can see who doesn't follow laws by who's breaking these laws and how many of them there are and how they actually apply to all that stuff. Americans basically don't follow any laws. Most of those laws on the books are being broken on a daily basis. Me and you break all kinds of laws and don't even realize it.
Yeah, but most of those laws are like from a long time ago.
And they're not even being enforced.
And no one enforces them. So that's not really the same thing. Right. That's not really the same thing.
It might be.
I mean, and obviously people follow laws or no one would be able to drive or walk down the street or anything.
I heard Germans just follow laws. That, to the letter. That they don't break any laws. Maybe it's true. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Like in Germany, you'd have to get a driver's license to drive. All right. Technically, you would need a driver's license to drive in the United States.
Well, yeah, you do.
But most people who do not have driver's license drive anyway. Ask Gramthars. He's a cop. They will pull over dudes all day long that are driving that have had their license suspended or taken away. They still drive.
I kind of feel like it's more common to drive without insurance. Yeah, some people drive without license. Well, no, I know that. I know they do. I know they do. Because actually, my mom was in a really bad car accident probably, 12, 13 years ago. Yeah. And the girl that hit her did not have insurance.
Right.
She had a driver's license, but she didn't.
Compared to, say, the Japanese, Americans would be considered lawless. Compared to the United States, growing up in Brazil, Brazilians are lawless compared to the United States. When I was living in Sao Paulo, Brazil was in a state of anarchy, basically. It had laws, but there was no way to enforce them. You did whatever you wanted to do. Okay, prostitution was technically illegal in Brazil. Prostitution was everywhere, including the prostitution of children. They would do that in public parks with cops standing right there. That's what kind of place it was. They just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, well, it's not like that here, though. No. You don't see that. I mean, it does happen. Yeah. But if you get caught, you'll get arrested.
Oh, and you'll do a lot of time.
Yeah,
not in Brazil.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Well, yeah. Yeah. That's a different situation.
Right. Brazil was an anarchy, basically. Guns were basically illegal in Brazil, but everybody had them. Especially if you were in some kind of drug cartel. Then you had AK-47s and AR-15s and full auto shit. And in Rio was controlled by basically narco cartels. And they were stronger than the police. The police wouldn't go in there. They were like no-go zones. There's whole what do you call it? There's whole documentaries on YouTube of this. There's just places where those narco fiefdoms are the government in certain places in Rio. Not the police. The police and its legal system are just another one of the factions. Yeah, it's supposedly official, but those dudes are just as corrupt as the criminals. There's very little difference. So, my perspective on the questions that I'm asking are actually even a lot more different than yours, actually. Because your reference is more American than my reference, really. Me having such a South American influence, like I talk to Khan all the time, and again, he's down in Tijuana, Mexico, and it's like I'm talking to somebody fucking from my hometown. The same kind of thinking, I guess. So I can play the American game, but for me, it's not really a reality. For me, I guess because my formative years were in South America, to me that was reality. Not so much this. This is kind of like a temporary thing. I feel like, This is almost kind of like a false reality.
It's not, though. I feel like you, like, miss out on some stuff because it's like we don't, you know, we just don't, you don't live in that situation anymore.
Yeah, but I just...
You know?
It feels like I'm in that situation.
You're not, though.
Yeah. I can make it that situation like that, though.
Can you not?
No, I'm not going to. I'm just saying I can make it that situation like that.
Highly.
To me, it's just because, you know, it has to do with the zeitgeist of the area.
Because you're a lunatic?
I'm a lunatic.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Well, don't, like, drag me down with you. Just saying. Sandra says, much smaller crime rate here than in the U.S. We have prostitution, and it's not illegal. Yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of prostitution is... In Europe, I don't know, like, what the laws are nowadays, but I do feel like it's been decriminalized to a large degree, just like drug use has been, which I really wish they would do here, because it just seems like it would solve a lot of problems. But, you know, we'll get there one of these days. We're just... Or not. We're so slow. Yep. I don't know, but yeah.
I don't think they ever will.
Oh, I don't know about that. No. I don't know about that.
Because that particular profession, all right, is now changed forever as long as there's an internet. Because now you don't need the old school methods of prostitution, which is standing around on a street corner in brothels. You don't need that anymore. This is all there. It's all just independent players on Facebook and shit, fucking doing business with people on their friends list. So they'll never need to legalize it because there's other ways to make it happen.
Well, I do kind of feel like now that we have the internet, I do feel like it's at least gotten a lot safer.
Yeah.
Because...
They know who it is they're dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah, or, I mean, at least you can, like, deal with shit. You can be, like, you know, an independent contractor, and you can do the shit, deal with shit over the internet. You can be an escort, whatever. You don't have to, like, hang out on a street corner and wait to get murdered or beat up or whatever.
And it's kind of out of the public eye. You know what I mean? It's out of the public eye, so it's not a public nuisance. Nobody knows about it.
Yeah, which, like I said, I really don't have... I mean, I have always agreed with George Carlin on this one, who said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, you know, sex is legal, and it's like, you know, selling things is legal, fucking is legal, so why isn't selling fucking legal? Yeah, it's like he said, why should it be illegal to sell something that's perfectly fine to give away? Right. Which, you know, you can't really argue with that logic. Right. So... Like I said, as long as you're not being forced into it, I really don't have a problem with people wanting to make money like that. I don't think any less of them. I don't think any... Just, you know, do what you gotta do, man. Yeah. We're all fucking struggling to make money, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, if that's what you want to do, then do it. Now, I'm not bothered.
Bee's Nest in there, fucking tell Tom to show that Mexican chick I went to... Bees, man, she sent me... Man, he's trying to get me to show pictures of this Mexican girl he does business with. Bee's Nest. You couldn't even really see that girl in that photograph. I saw the video, man, but...
Is the photo, like, is he stalking her?
No, like she's sitting in the window fucking trying to get some customers. Oh. He goes in there and starts talking to her on the video, and she's like, yeah, come on. He took a picture of her and shit. But he took a screen capture from the video of him talking to her. That's an old one, though, man. That one was from a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying, he's telling me to pick one out for him.
Pick one out for
you. Yeah.
Because you're the manly man, so you have to pick everything out, I guess.
Which to fucking get a deal with. That was over in Mexico.
Like, well, pick the one you like. I don't like...
Yeah. Who am I to tell you?
That'd be like someone else picking out my clothes. I don't like that.
Yeah, right. He needs me to tell him what booty to jump into. Kind of...
Oh, my God.
Fucking funny. All right, so...
Gramthars Hammer says, who is more manly, Dennis Rader, the Ordnance Compliance Officer, or Paul Blart, Mall Cop? Gee, that's a tough one. I don't really think either one of them are. I really don't want to give points to Dennis Rader because he's a serial killer, and he's just like a douche all around.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's like, I was thinking about this earlier, because I was thinking about how Esther had, like, asked us to do this manly man discussion. Because her and her husband have been, like, talking about it. And I was thinking to myself, and maybe this is a glib answer, but I think being manly is kind of like being cool. If you're, like, worrying too much about it, or you gotta ask people about it, then you're not it.
You're not,
And I will say that for anything because it's like, are man buns mainly, or this is, I'm like, it depends on who's wearing it.
No, not with man buns.
Well, no, I'm just saying using that as an example because I know that's something that a lot of people like to shit on. But it's like, I'm always kind of like, look, if you're a man and you're like, proud of whatever it is that you have going on, then that's fine. It's manly. So people are like too narrow with that kind of shit. They're trying to get me. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Read what Zach says.
Hey y'all, Jenny, the research for that Nora Fuller script I'm doing is painful. There's so much I need to learn about the 1900s that I don't care about. Yeah. I know, I'm sorry. It's a horrifying case though.
Grandpa's trying to get me to pull fucking
what is it? Mini Dennis off for his opinion.
Raider comes down when he wants to channel when his spirit's trying to channel through me. But he's not calling me right now.
He's not calling you?
No, he's not calling me.
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, Gramthars is one that's always trying to get me to compare something with Dennis and shit. Fucking.
Well, because he's trying to get you.
Dennis. I'm not impressed with Dennis at all. Fucking.
That dude is a fucking. Like I said, I read the book that Sophie sent me. That was it's called Confessions of a Serial Killer or Confession of a Serial Killer. And it was just like all these, like the woman that wrote it was like in a years long like correspondence with the dude. And the letters that he wrote, like many of which she reproduced in the book, like, verbatim. That dude, I don't understand at all where that dude is coming from.
Yeah, he's a nerd.
That dude is a fucking loon. Don't even impugn nerds like that. Yeah. I'm a nerd. I don't even No, it's not nerdiness. It's not. I don't even know what it is. I can't even explain it. I'm just like, what the fuck are you even like? What is?
He's a lunatic, but he was a kind of a nerdy lunatic. There was nothing really cool about him.
Well, no, he was not cool in the slightest.
There really isn't any of them that were cool.
Well, none of them are cool. That's not a cool thing to do.
No. Well, they weren't socially acceptable, really, and they had a lot of fucking problems. That's why they were serial killers. There's none of them I could think of that was cool. The closest thing to a dude that I would say that motherfucker was manly, fucking tough, would have been Kuklinski.
But he wasn't technically. He killed a lot of people. But he wasn't technically a serial killer because he was just doing it as a job.
Well,
which that's not good. Yeah. I'm just saying that that's a whole different dynamic.
If his story is true, and a lot of it did check out, the cops looked into a lot of it. Some of it they couldn't verify. That dude was a fucking beast. All right. He did a lot of risky shit and got away with it. Pretty daring assassinations, some of them in public. But from what he said, he says there was no cameras back then, so you could get away with a lot more. A lot of stuff he was doing back then, you couldn't do it now. I don't think he was totally truthful about everything. Some of the stuff didn't sound...
Well, he might have inflated some shit to make himself sound
cool. The torture cave with the rats and the slow motion photography. I don't know if that's actually real.
He might have got that from a movie or something.
Why hadn't they found that cave? You'd think that they would find that cave. Or they would have asked him where it was, and there wasn't enough detail in the interviews that I was watching. So I don't know if that was true. The other one would have been the original Night Stalker. You had to have balls to do what he was doing. He was vicious, that guy. What was his name again? D'Angelo. Yeah.
Allegedly. Although, did he plead guilty?
D'Angelo was his name. Yeah, that was his name.
No, I'm just saying you're supposed to say allegedly until they've actually been convicted, I know that. I'm just saying I don't want to get in trouble.
And he fit the profile. He was good enough to be a cop for a while. I think he got fucking fired eventually, I think.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. There's so much of that. There's that certain type of serial killers that are even, and Dennis kind of falls in that too, where it's just kind of like they're like. Military guys, a lot of them are in the military, and they're either cops or cop groupies, or they're cop adjacent. Yeah. They like just security guards, or like Dennis, they telling people what to do. It's like a power trip.
Now somebody mentioned, I saw in the comments before, said, well, that guy was in the military. This one was, fucking Dahmer was in the military. You have to understand that the military changed a lot over times. There were times in which basically the military would take anyone. And then certain MOSs, which are jobs, certain MOSs were real easy to make it in certain MOSs. Like, I think actually wasn't Berkowitz military for a while?
He might have been, now that I'm thinking about it. A lot of them were, but I kind of feel like that was kind of something a lot of people did back then, so I don't know if it was
Well, it was during the draft.
Yeah.
Like, that was during the draft times. Standards were real low, and the guys that were pretty good ended up in some kind of and good can mean different things. You know what I mean? If the guy was real intelligent and had special skills, he went to a support unit somewhere. You know, he was doing something high tech. He didn't really go into combat. The easy training. They weren't trying to flush those guys out through a survival of the fittest type process of elimination. You know what I mean? It was a civilian type job. Here, do this. Push these buttons. Fill this thing out. You know, that kind of shit.
Well, yeah, because they need support roles too. So it's like not everybody is.
Yeah, they're not trying to kick them out.
Right.
So very different from, say, Special Forces. When I was in Special Forces, when I was in the infantry, Special Forces was the equivalent of like pro football. Your chances of getting in there were about zero. They had all the guys they needed. They were only even if you made it through selection, and you say if they had 100 guys going through the selection process, 2 of them might make it, and out of those 2, they'd pick 1. They just didn't need replacements, you know, because it's a 20-year contract. So they were in there forever, and they get paid a lot of money. They make over $100,000 a year because there's all this TDY money and all this training money and travel money and hazardous duty pay money, jump status pay. They make a lot of money, and then as soon as you get through selection and everything, they make you like an E6 or an E7. So you got, you know, nobody's under. I think nobody's really under. What was it? Staff sergeant? I guess. Yeah, staff sergeant. I guess. Isn't that what it was called? Or sergeant first class? No, I can't remember the ranks now. The one with the 3 stripes up and the one on the bottom, I think, was called staff sergeant. I think that was the E. You could be an E5 when you got out of selection, and when you got out of selection, and then when you were in the Q course, by the time you were out of Q course, you were an E5. Then you would end up being an E6 as soon as you got sent to the unit, and that was their lowest rank. That was already making a lot of money with all the extra shit on top of there. So, and they were in there for 20 years, and then when they got out, they'd go for these fucking these really high paid private security companies. Would pick them up, and they made several $100,000 a year as bodyguards for, you know, famous people and elite people and politicians, and they'd end up doing the shit that fucking probably you couldn't talk about, you know. Fucking, for all you know, they end up getting training as a fucking private investigator and a bunch of law enforcement training and out assassinating people, you know, for some politician somewhere in another country.
Here, plug that dude.
What? Find this dude and kill him. He's got a fucking lawsuit against me. Yes, sir. I'll take care of that. 3 or 4 of you go down there and fucking gag
I would abuse that fucking power.
What's that?
I would abuse that fucking power.
Yeah. Some of that might be happening here in the United States. I got some evidence that some of that, you know, just by reading newspapers, that some of that's happening here. Politicians doing that to each other. It was happening in ancient Rome. They did the same thing, you know. Don't get caught. Special operations are black operations. They're black because they're illegal. They're crimes. And if you get caught, nobody supports you. You got to kill yourself.
Yeah, so, you know, if you're getting into that line of work, just a pro tip. Got to be ready to do that.
Yeah.
Got to put your tooth down on that cyanide caplet.
Yeah, or blow your own head off.
Well, I know they don't do that anymore. I was just making a joke.
Or you force the law enforcement to kill you. You don't survive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go down fighting.
Ghostface Kitty says, is Marilyn Manson manly?
No.
Well, I don't know. No. I guess. I don't know. It's hard for me to say because he's kind of douchey, but it's like, I don't know.
He never was. He was a good entertainer.
Pat Hatfield says Bruce Campbell. Okay, like, I think Bruce Campbell is totally manly.
You're asking a woman, though. All right, a woman will think all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, we'll see.
Man's standards and women's standards.
Well, see, this is what I think of. I always think like a dude standards of manliness are like this big, whereas like a woman's standard of manliness is like this big. There's like a lot of wiggle room in here. like I said, there's a lot of shit. Honestly, as long as you're not a creep, you're not a dick, you're like, you have something to offer, and you're kind of like cool with how you are, then that's cool. Like, to me, that's fine. I don't really think, like, I don't think there's this little narrow thing. It's like, oh, they have to be able to do this, that, and the other thing. That just, I don't know. It seems really reductive and insulting to men, really, I think. I think it's insulting to men. But, you know, maybe that's just me. I just kind of feel like it's very, very narrow band. I'm not into it.
Yeah.
I'm not into it.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say anything, I guess.
Well, you've been saying shit. You've been saying shit.
Look, there's a lot of different kind of men in the world. You know what I mean? There are dudes like Mozart. All right?
That's what I'm saying.
And then there are dudes like The Rock and shit. You know what I mean?
Both of which are awesome.
Yeah, all right.
Both awesome.
But when you're looking at things from just like the hyper masculine viewpoint, all right, you're gonna say The Rock is really, you know what I mean, what is more manly than, well, what is a man?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was like I said, I think the definition is too narrow. I think the definition is too narrow. No. I think people have too many rules about it, and I think they are silly. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Well,
I just think it's very
a woman
silly.
would say that, though.
But it is very silly.
A woman would say that.
Like, the people worry too much about it. Men have a very
different standard of what a man is. Okay? For me, a man is a dude that you want to have next to you when shit goes bad. Okay? When shit goes bad, you need somebody that can fucking fight right alongside you, somebody who's got skills, somebody who's not dead weight, that you and him together are equaling more than the sum of us both. It's kind of like Spock and Kirk.
But see, I kind of feel like that's true of humans in general, not just men.
Right.
I don't want to, like, if I get abandoned out in the woods with some other chick, I don't want her to be some useless ass that I'm going to have to drag around either.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, either way.
If I'm in a fucking fist fight or a firefight and shit, you don't want Marilyn Manson with you. All right? That motherfucker's going to be dead weight.
I don't know, because he might just, like, poop on you and people would be, like, grossed out and then they'd run away.
Marilyn Manson would fucking get gacked. That's exactly what would happen. All right? He would do exactly the wrong thing. So there are different kinds of guys for different types of situations. Okay? The best case scenario is a guy who's a generalist. He's not a specialist. He's a generalist. He can do a little bit of everything. He's good at certain things that fucking are real important, but he can fit into any mold, at least temporarily, to get through something. That's really what I noticed made the difference. But there's a couple of key things you got to be really good at. Everything boils down to endurance. Endurance and willpower. The most important thing is you can't be with a motherfucker who quits. If you quit, you lose. You just lose. You want a motherfucker who never quits. You understand what I'm talking about?
Well, no, but like I'm saying
no. You don't understand? You said no. You want to be with a motherfucker that never quits.
Can I finish what I was saying or not?
Okay.
No, what I was going to say was that, but that's true of like anybody. Not just a dude, because like I said, I don't want to be hanging out with some chick that's like that either.
Okay. Well, see, you have to take people and put them in a certain type of situation and see who quits first. And then who's quitting, and then how long can they all do it? Who's the last one to quit? And you can rank them that way. That's really all this fucking military training really is actually just that. To see who quits and who doesn't. And then the guys who don't quit, you continue to fucking stress them out until they all break. Because eventually everyone will break. You know what I mean? Pretty much. You just want to see which of the last ones to break. And you can kind of...
Yeah, well, like I said, and I don't even think that's a necessarily just a manly virtue. I think that's just like a human virtue. You just want somebody that's not going to give up at the first like sign of
but how do you know?
Discomfort or something like that.
But how do you know? You got to put them through those tests. Most people are not tested. They're just not.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that that's good for anybody. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
It would mean that for anybody. And in my experience, fucking most people just walking around in some mall somewhere, you don't want them. You want some unusual motherfucker.
Yeah. Although, like you said, you never really know until... Because some people
might really
actually surprise you.
You never really know until you see it yourself. And that's why, if you have a military or law enforcement background, you know the dudes you served with, you saw what they did, you knew who they were. You saw them at their best and at their worst, so you know exactly what they're going to do. So that's an advantage that guys like us have. Now, this also could probably go into the sports realms with those jocks and all their fucking little sports stuff. They're going through a similar process. All right. So it ends up forging like a brotherhood between these dudes that really lasts a lifetime. Like, I know what everybody's doing. You know, I talk about my AG Sparks, his house burnt down a couple weeks ago. Three of his dogs died in it because
don't tell me stuff like
died
that.
Died of smoke inhalation because they were in a cage. He had him caged because he was having a party in the house, and somebody let off fireworks in the house. The house caught on fire.
Wait, who is he inviting that's letting off fireworks in the house?
Yeah, he had like 30 people in the damn house.
All right, don't let off fireworks in the house. I shouldn't have to tell you.
Living in a nice neighborhood like this. Living in a nice neighborhood like this.
What dumb fuck did that?
I didn't ask him because it might have been him. So, but he went in there and saved a whole bunch of people. Ran into that damn house. He said the visibility was 0, and he knew his way around just by feel because it was his own house, and he was getting people out of that house that were trapped in there, and the house just fucking vanished within minutes.
Well, see, I would do that.
Yeah. And
if the house was burning down and Pookie was in here, I am not leaving without Pookie.
He had to get people out. I'm
not leaving without Pookie or Beijing either.
He said the dogs were going to go last, but they were already dead in the smoke inhalation by the time he got everybody out.
It depends on which people are in the house.
It was just a bunch of people.
Okay.
But I didn't ask him any questions. But I was proud of him that he got it all done. Fucking, you know what I mean? There was other guys with him, but he said he knew the layout of the house, and it just took over him. He didn't even think about it. He just kept going into the house.
Honestly, I think most people would probably do that if it was their own house. They knew their family was in there, or their pets or whatever. And like I said, pets are family too. So it's like if your fucking house was burned down and your kids were in there, fuck yeah. Like 99% of people would run in there and try to get them. No, I'm just saying I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Most people, but if it was your kids or your friends or your spouse or whatever, I think most people would probably run in there to get them. Most people.
Yeah, a lot of them will die too.
Well, yeah, but it's like that's something that what are you gonna do? He said
the smoke was so bad he couldn't see. He had to get down on the ground, get underneath the smoke.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Smoke rises. Gilded Age Phoenix says women can openly define what a man is, but men are not supposed to define what a woman is. See, I don't think that's true, though, because I'm not really defining what a man is. In fact, I'm expanding the definition because I think the concept of manliness is too limited. And I'm kind of saying, I'm not defining anything. I'm just saying, like, be what you want. And it's just, like, be cool with it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, like, a man has to be this, that, and the other thing. I don't really... That's, like I said, that's not for me to decide. I'm not a dude. You know what I'm saying? And it's honestly, I guess it comes from a place where, because we were kind of talking about this a little bit last night. We were rewatching Toys That Made Us, because I think like a lot of people were, because Movies That Made Us season 2 just like came out. So then Toys That Made Us was trending again, even though there's not new ones out. So a lot of people were rewatching it. So we rewatched some of the episodes. We watched like the Barbie one and the He-Man one and stuff like that. And we were kind of talking about, the differences in like the way that little boys and little girls like played with toys in general. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I always kind of felt like I liked some girl toys. Like I had a couple of Barbies and shit like that, but it wasn't really my favorite thing. I liked girl toys and boy toys about equally. I might have liked boy toys a little bit better because at least they had like monsters and shit, because I really liked monsters and shit. So I just kind of feel like my whole life I got kind of told that like I wasn't feminine enough because I liked scary stuff and I liked some things that were boy things, even though I liked some things that were girl things too. So I really feel like I don't have any right to tell other people like what's masculine or feminine, because I mean I never really cared if shit was like feminine or not. I'm like, I don't care, I just like this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, I was thinking about this earlier, do you guys remember like in the, I guess it was like late 70s, they had those things called, what were they called? Fashion plates. And it was like little different outfits, and you could like mix different heads with like different tops and different skirts and stuff. And I had that, but my brother also had this monster one, and I liked that one just as much. So we used to kind of like mix them together and like make, hey, let's put like this woman's head, but then like give her like a mech suit like at the top, and then like she has werewolf legs, and it's like, so that kind of thing. So I kind of liked a mixture of all the things.
Fourth drawer down asked, is a Segway a manly mode of transportation? If you have to ask that question, then fucking you're wrong, dude. Course not. Of course not.
Honestly, I really don't think a Segway is like any kind of, like, no. I understand that it's like, thank you, Zach. One of my favorite things on YouTube is a stop motion animated series where Barbie is an alcoholic sex addict who can't remember her kids' names behind the scenes. Oh my God, I need to like fucking watch that.
In general, a Segway, of course, that's some real urban type stuff. That's like, that's something you would ride around.
I mean, I wouldn't be caught dead on there.
That's something you ride around in the office with, or ride down the street, That's something you'd have to go down Newberry Street, in Boston or some shit like that. Which, of course, no, that's not macho at all. Not at all. In fact, manliness is actually kind of like at a higher premium in a rural setting. It just is. It's you need a lot more rugged individualism for that type of place. In the city, you can have a job and make money and pay taxes and have strong men like me and Gramthars defend you from bad people. You know what I mean? Fucking, because you can't defend yourself. Other men have to do it for you. That's what that's all about. Out in the country, there's a police station, but that's a long ways away. You got to fucking take care of yourself out there. That's why they're all carrying guns. And now, Sandra said in Germany there is no guns, and she's lying. There's lots of guns in Germany. I know the gun laws there, or I did. There's a lot of private gun owners in Germany. It's just that they have to have they have to have a safe. They have to go through a bunch of a registration thing, and I think they're on a pretty big wait. They have to go through like a training course and a certain waiting list that they go through. But no, they got guys in Germany that have assault rifles and pistols and a lot of the same stuff that you would get here in the United States. I don't think noise suppressors are illegal in Germany. You just need this proper license. They're not illegal here. You just need a permit for them. Or it's not even a permit. It's a tax stamp, $200 tax stamp. You can get it, which they may get rid of that because there's no reason for sound suppressors to be illegal or controlled. Really, that was from another era, and it had nothing to do with crime. It had to do with poaching animals, and that time's past. That was Great Depression stuff. So no, they have lots of guns in Germany. It's just that they have to go through a couple little hurdles to get them. You have to really want one. It's more expensive. So it ends up being where if you're rich, you can get one in Germany. If you're poor, you can't have one in Germany.
But if you're rich, you can do anything.
If you're rich, you can do anything, right?
So, because laws don't apply to you.
Laws don't apply to you. You're making the laws. Other people follow them.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So, so Aaron says are rollerblades manly. I haven't seen anybody there's one person, I've seen one person that still uses rollerblades, like on the trail outside where I do my walks and whatever. But I only see him every now and then. On the whole, it seems like rollerblades are they even a thing anymore? No. I kind of feel like that was like a trend for a time. I remember somebody in my family, my brother probably, I think he got some for Christmas or his birthday or something. Yeah. And, man, I remember doing those and I'm just like, holy shit, I'm gonna like break my ankles. Even though I'm like really good at roller skating, but rollerblades, not so much.
Yeah, Sandra, you're wrong. I know. I've actually talked to German guys. There's videos of them. You can have them. It's just that there's a different process you have to go through. It costs more money. You have to have a safe, and you have to have a bunch of stuff. And but no, they got guys that got them, and it's legal. And you're saying law enforcement. How do you define law enforcement? Who is law enforcement? Is a private investigator law enforcement? Is You know, there's a lot of things that are kind of like law enforcement. What if you're a private security agent? Like this is what I'm talking about, Sounder. You're not a civilian. Now I have to be careful what I'm saying here because certain machine guns are transferable because they were before the certain 1986 5 law happened. There are certain machine guns because of their date of manufacture can be transferred from one owner to the next. Okay, but they stopped that. The only way you can have a full auto weapon in the United States is if you have a contract with a military or law enforcement organization. You can sell it to them if you're a manufacturer. Okay, a manufacturer has the right to make what's called a dealer sample or a manufacturer's sample. To become a manufacturer, you have to fucking get a certain class 3 license. So you can get a license. You can become a licensed manufacturer and make yourself a sample. And that sample is yours. That's how you get a machine gun in the United States. Every guy who has one is legally a manufacturer. And he can make his own samples. There's always a way around anything. Or you can have what was called a transferable. Transferable, I think, is pre-1984. But then there's all other kind of things. If you're ex-military and you've done contract work, certain states will allow you to have certain things. There's all kinds of different ways to get anything. The hardest thing to get in the United States is called DD, destructive device, which is grenades, rocket launchers, anti-tank weapons. Those are harder to get. But even those you can get if you work for the right companies, security companies. Okay.
I was gonna say, like, you know what is not manly? Trying too hard to be manly. Yeah. It's just kind of like...
Well, if you're trying...
Well, that's what I mean. Every time we're driving down the street, and it's like, I kind of feel like most people have this, and you see this dude in this, like, fucking enormous, like, 4x4 truck with those big, like, truck tires and stuff like that. The first thing everybody thinks is that he has a micro dick.
Yeah.
Because you're overcompensating. Like I said, you gotta, like, not... There's a fine line to draw between being just like a regular ass, like manly man who's just like confident in your whatever, in your manhood, and you can just like do what you want to do and not like worry about what other people think about you, which to me, like I said, seems manly. And then you can go way over into like performative manliness where you're going like way over the top and you're just like, I have to have this big huge truck and this big huge this with all the fucking rifle rack on the back and all this other kind of shit, which just kind of makes me think that maybe you have some insecurity issues. That's all I'm saying. I just kind of feel like there's a lot of that going on. But, you know. Yeah, if you try hard, that means you're not. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just like being cool. You can't, like, go around telling people how cool you are, because obviously that's really not cool. Cool is, like, not... It's an indefinable quality. And you can't try to do it. It just has to like happen. It has to be like natural. It has to be organic. And I kind of feel like it's the same thing with that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? You know. Oh my God. All right. So, yeah, do or do not. There is no try. Yeah. It's, you know, it's that kind of thing. Just, yeah, like don't try so hard. Nobody likes to try hard. That's kind of like what... I don't care what it is that you're doing, what your vibe is, what your whole thing is, what your gestalt is. But just do that and own it, and then that's fine. Just don't try to be something you're not. That's all. I kind of feel like that's... And everybody else just needs to like chill out about it. Don't try hard. That's all. What are you doing?
I was going to show her that this guy right here. This guy here will tell you how to get any kind of legal guns in Germany. That's a German guy. He's got a bunch of them. But no, there are ways to get the licenses. Name of that channel is Jorgsprov. What is that?
Well, I don't... Quit moving it.
Don't you complain to me.
No, I said it won't focus if you don't stop moving it.
Yeah.
You can't just wave it around. It'll just stay blurry. I'm just telling you how
the name
cameras
of the video is Can Germans Have Guns? Sure Things. Weapons laws in Germany. That one.
In Germany's.
In Germany's. Yeah.
Are you drunk already?
No.
I could use another one.
He said you have to get things like collector's licenses and hunter's licenses, and then there's a bunch of other things that you can get. He's got a German assault rifle, an HK-91, too.
Yeah, Oracle says, be the best you. Honestly, that's kind of like, that should be like the Zen cone for all of life.
Yeah.
And it's taken me like a really long time to get to that, because I always kind of felt like, I don't know, I always kind of felt like I was doing something wrong, or I was like, not, because, I was kind of a weird kid, and I'm a weird adult. And like, so it's weird when you always have somebody like people telling you or implying to you that you're like not normal, or you're not doing something right or something like that. So it's like when you grow up like that, even if no one's being outright shitty to you, just the vibe you get from people is like, well, maybe you should be more like this, or maybe you should be more like that. Like when you grow up like that, it's like really...
You grew up like that?
Well, it's kind of a thing where, like I said, my parents were not terribly bad. My dad was kind of... I'm not even going to get into that whole situation. But,
She was kind of a tomboy.
Yeah, so. But not though, because it's like I still liked girl shit, but I also really liked boy shit, and I really liked scary shit was my main thing. Whether it was girl shit or boy shit, I was like, I just want scary shit. I want witch shit. I want ghost shit. I want all that kind of shit. I want monsters. So it's like I liked that kind of shit. So it's like I kind of feel like a lot of people, particularly back in the 70s and 80s, they didn't really know how to deal with a girl that was into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So even if they weren't like outright hostile, it was always kind of like, okay. It was always like that kind of situation.
Now Senator Jones says, well, yes, hunters can have guns. Well, of course hunters can have. Then that's the same as having a gun. That's the same thing as having a gun, Senator. There's just different kind of licenses that you need to get in Germany. But those guys that have their shit, they were showing it. It was all nice shit. It's just that they go through the proper licenses, different German licenses to get it. It's the same shit you get here in the United States. Just that we don't need those licenses.
Probably time for another drink, I think.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. We're not that far in.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's just kind of like I said, I got picked on in school later. No need for me to, says Jenny's complicated. You don't even know the half of it. But yeah, so... It's not so much that you get, like, I got bullied later, probably like starting maybe late elementary school or junior high, where you got picked on. Well, I particularly got picked on for being shy, for being poor. That was the big one. For being smart, and nobody likes that. So, I got picked on for being like that, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I always kind of felt like, growing up, like I said, they didn't really have a context. I think it's easier nowadays because it's like everybody understands that now, like some girls like horror shit. But back in the 70s and 80s, I don't really think it was just kind of like the goth thing where a lot of people didn't really have the context. So they didn't really know what to do with you because you didn't like fit into any of the slots that they had. It's like, oh, we don't, they didn't know any other little girls in the family that were like, into like monsters and shit, so it was kind of like they didn't really know what to do about it. Like they weren't, like I said, no one was like hostile in my family necessarily, but sometimes they would try to steer me into different things. Sometimes I had a thing where even when I was going off to college, like my grandfather, he offered to like pay for my first couple semesters at college, but he didn't want me to do anything artistic. He didn't want me to do graphic design, which is what I was going in to do, because he thought you couldn't make any money doing that, which is dumb because I never had problems getting jobs doing that. So, and I still make money doing it nowadays. So he wanted me to do accounting, And I was just kind of like, no, I don't want to do that. So it's like he only paid for my first 2 semesters. So, you know, he's dead now, so I don't want to say anything bad about it, but he only paid for my first 2 semesters. He's like, well, yeah, if you're just going to do this arty shit, I don't want to, like, pay for it. So he didn't pay for it. So I had to get I got a grant after that, happily, but it's just, it was like that kind of thing. Like, no one wanted to, like, you know, because she's like the weirdo. She's a weirdo. Right. So
Sandra Sandra said people can't have guns, but hunters can have guns, as if hunters aren't people. If hunters can have the guns, then that means people can have guns, Sandra. Hunters are people. If you want a gun, just become a hunter. Or, you know, there's all kinds of other ways. That guy had a whole bunch of them. They're just different licenses. Here's another fucking weird thing. Never mind. Never mind. I don't want to go through the intricacies of fucking what do you call it? NFA, National Firearms Act. The United States has stupid gun laws. You know, like, you can't have a sound suppressor without paying this $200 tax. They do a little background check, and if you're not a criminal, then they'll let you have the suppressor for $200. It's a tax on top of it. Why? You know, it's, well, because it's a suppressor. Well, what's wrong with a suppressor? Well, it's a suppressor, so it needs $200. You might be James Bond with a silencer. No, that's not what it is. Back in the Great Depression, you had peoples taking suppressors and putting them on .22 caliber bolt-action rifles and going out and shooting rabbits and shooting rabbits and shooting squirrels, and they were shooting so many of them that they were depleting the livestock. And the game wardens wanted to make limits on how many these little animals you could kill a day. And if you had that suppressor on there, you could go over your limit because they were listening for gunshots. That's how the wardens found you. Had nothing to do with crime. If you put a suppressor on a 9mm pistol and shoot through that, even with subsonic ammo, a .22 long rifle or any other pistol is still louder than that. It doesn't make it silent. So you're not hiding the fact that shots were fired. It's stupid. I mean, if a 9mm suppressor requires a suppression tax, well, wouldn't a .22 caliber pistol require it? It produces less decibels. You know, that's quieter than that. So it doesn't make any sense. Well, you might assassinate somebody. Well, shit, it doesn't fucking matter. You can fucking fire off an unsuppressed 9mm fucking pistol in a house and the neighbors won't even hear it. It didn't matter if it had a suppressor on it or not. You can fire off a .556 rifle in the house and the neighbors wouldn't know what that was. You don't need a suppressor on that either. You know, you don't. It's just fucking silly. People worry about shit too much.
Esther says, I was bullied from elementary school to high school. Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. I felt like I was in elementary school, like my teachers loved me because, you know, I actually liked school and I liked learning things and I was well behaved and quiet and I wasn't an asshole. But other kids, you know, not all of them, but there are some other kids, they don't like you if you're quiet. They don't like you if you're bookish. They don't like you if you're smart. They don't like other things like that. Also, like I said, you know, I grew up fairly poor, so it's like all my clothes were like secondhand. I didn't really, or third hand, so I didn't wear anything that was like fashionable or anything. So, and I went to a school that was kind of a little bit above where I lived. You know what I mean? So a lot of those kids were kind of like upper middle class, and I was very working class. So that was kind of another thing. Junior high was probably worse. I got picked on a lot for being poor, for being a weirdo. High school wasn't too bad. I still got picked on for being a weirdo, but at least like I had other, you know, I had a handful of other weirdos that I hung out with, so it wasn't quite so bad. You know, because we were all getting picked on together, so it was fine. But, you know, DJ Maniac says, I got picked on for being a nerd, a goth, a weirdo, and now that I'm 44, it hasn't fucking changed a bit. Yeah, it's like... It's better now, obviously, but it's still... Growing up like that for, like, years and years, you just kind of get this sort of thing where now it's like, for example, like, if we're at mannequins or something like that, and there's, like, some group of, like, basic, you know, kind of assholes there, and they start like making fun of, so even if they're not even making fun of me, but if they're like making fun of somebody that I know that's like dancing on the dance floor, like being gothy or whatever, and it's just like, that still just fills me with rage to this day, and I'm almost 50 years old.
That fucking look at Sandra. Sandra says, well, you can't just be a hunter here. You can't call yourself a hunter. You got to go to like a hunter school with exams and shit. It's fucking funny. And then she goes, well, Germany's not authoritarian. So Germany tells you when you're a fucking hunter or not. That's ridiculous. My dad just taught me. You know, that was just the way we grew up. It's still, what all that is a hurdle. Another hurdle. But to getting what you want, you just take that, you just study for that and take that test. That's no big deal. Just do it. Germans don't want you driving either, as far as I understand. I heard that learning how to drive a car in Germany and passing that test is about like it is for fucking flying a Cessna airplane. Which, not in the United States. In the United States, if you can sign your name, they give you a fucking driver's license. Yeah.
Well, that's not entirely true.
Damn
but
near.
the test is way easier.
The test is just driving around the block. And
which I don't think that's good, though.
No, it's not good.
It's not good.
But the thing
because now, like, we have all these fucking idiots on the road
Yeah.
that don't fucking know how to drive.
Yeah, but a lot of them, though, are doing that because they come from South America. South Americans fucking drive like maniacs. I go, that's a Brazilian. I can tell just by the way that dude's fucking driving style. And the thing is that if you were to actually make them pass that test, they would just say you were racist. They forget some shit like that, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing about the driving test is that, I don't know if people know this, but it's different everywhere you go.
Yeah, each state.
Not even each state, each county.
Each county, that's true. That's
county.
True. Yeah.
Because my ex-husband, who was British, he had a driver's license in the UK. It took him 2 times because they have to do like you have to pay for like lessons and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you take the test, and it's hard.
Yeah.
He passed it the second time. So he had a driver's license over there, but it's like when he came over here, they're like, well, yeah, we don't care that you have a license over there, so you have to like take the test over here. He took the test in Daytona, where we lived at the time, and he was fucking amazed. He's like, all I had to do was take a test on a computer and then drive around a parking lot, and they gave me a fucking license. He's like, they would never do that over there. Yeah. Now, when I took it, I actually hired a lady, and she gave me some lessons. And she was British actually, which is weird. Yeah. And I took lessons for a couple of weeks, and I'm just like, okay, that's fine. But when she gave me the test, we drove to, I think it was Seminole County. And on their test, you actually had to drive on the road, and you had to drive on the highway, and you had to like merge into traffic. You had to do all that kind of stuff. You had to parallel park. You had to do all that kind of shit. And that was like one county over. Yeah. So it wasn't just, if I'd taken the test in Daytona, I could have just driven around a parking lot. But I was like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. I would rather like drive on an actual road. Sandra
says, yeah, but we actually don't have speed limits here on the Autobahn. We don't have speed limits here in Florida either. 70, it's posted 70, but I'll be going 70 or 80 sometimes down the
As long as you're not going demonstrably faster than everyone else.
Like 105, 110 miles an hour.
Now, if you do that, you will get pulled over if you get seen.
Yeah, if they see you. Yeah.
But you can, if the flow of traffic is going 80, 85, and you're just going with it, and you're not being egregiously then you're fine.
I've been going 80, 85 miles an hour and looked over, and there's a cop going 85 right next to me. And then somebody passes us at about fucking 90.
It's not unusual to go 80, 85 on the highway.
They don't give a shit.
If there's not a lot of traffic. And honestly, I used to work at night.
Yeah.
And I lived in Orlando, but I worked in Daytona for a little while, but I worked the night shift. So I would be coming back at like 3, 4 in the morning. And there was nobody on I-4, which is the only time I will ever drive on that fucking road because it's a nightmare. So I'd be coming back just listening to music or whatever, and I'd be going like 100, 110 and shit like that. And it's like, I never got pulled over. No. Ever.
Not in Florida. Florida does not give a shit about that speed.
But like I said, if you're in heavy traffic and you're pulling that shit, and
weaving in and out,
and if a cop sees you, then yes, they absolutely, and rightfully so, because that's endangering other people.
Now, me and Gramthars, we learned to drive at the fucking same time, same place. That was at fucking Trenton High School. We learned how to drive in high school. We had a driver's education class. You had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and sit out there, freezing ass cold fucking weather, and do all your driving about an hour before school started. And we had the little driver's school. I think we even had to pay for that.
You didn't have a class? I had a class.
You had to do both.
In high school.
Yeah, it was a class, and then you had to drive.
But then
you
later.
Didn't drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In high school I did. But then later I kind of didn't. I didn't have money for a car, so it's then later I kind of forgot, and so like I paid a woman for a couple of weeks to like reteach me how to drive because my dad wouldn't do it.
So Germany would be impressed because we had our driver's license. I think by the time we were 16, we were driving. I think we had permits at 16.
Well, you can get a permit at 15.
15, that's what it was.
You
15.
can get a permit at 15, but you can't drive, like, generally...
Gramthars, were we 15 or 16 when we got...
At least in Florida.
Yeah, I think...
And at least when I was growing up.
It might have been
in Florida,
15.
You can get a permit at 15, but you can't drive after dark unless you're going to and from work, then it's allowed. And usually, unless you're going to or from work, you have to have a licensed driver in the car with you. You can get a regular license at 16.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, is I remember that once we came out of there, the permit was only like for about 5 or 6 months, and then you got your real.
Yeah, it was
driver.
6 months. You didn't have to drive for the permit. You just had to take the written test.
Oh no, we had to drive for the permit. We had to drive for the permit.
Well, not in Florida, you didn't.
No, we.
I don't know about now, but back then you didn't.
Back in, unless Gramthars was there, man, he'll correct me.
Because what you were supposed to do.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
No.
Yes.
I'm talking.
Okay, go ahead.
What you're doing is you take the written test to you know all the signs, you know all the rules.
Yeah.
When you're 15,
yeah.
You're supposed to get the permit so that you can learn to drive in that year and then get your regular. That's how Florida was.
Not in Michigan.
That's how Florida was.
In Michigan, we were in a class and you had to take like little written tests in the class. Okay.
Yeah, we did that.
And then you would drive, and you had the instructor with you in the car. You had
we did that
to drive around, and then I think you got the permit there.
No, see, for our class.
Let me tell you what I'm saying. Then you got your permit. It came in the mail, and then for like 6 months. And then 6 months later, I think we got the real license, and that means that you could drive at dark, after dark.
No, what you were supposed to do, like I said, was that when you were 15...
It was a different state, Jenny.
I know that, but I'm just saying in Florida, when you were 15, you were actually supposed to have the permit before you took driver's ed. Because driver's ed, the class in high school, which was free, it was just like another elective you could take.
Yeah.
You were supposed to have the permit at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah, not in Michigan.
So that you could drive, and then at the end of the semester, you were supposed to go and take your test, then you would get your regular license.
In Michigan, you did all your testing, you were driving, and then you got your permit. And then you could drive for about 6 months, and then it got upgraded into a license, where it was like a regular... Because I think our teacher was... I think he was able... I think he was licensed by the state to fucking approve you to fucking get.
Well, ours was too.
To get you your license, but you started off as it was a temporary permit.
Well, yeah, that's what. You got a permit.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year when you were 15.
You're right, and it lasted for about 6 months.
You just took a written test and got a permit.
Right.
And then you took the class.
Not us.
And then you drove in the parking lot or in the thing.
Not
and
us.
then at the end of the semester. You got your license, your regular license.
That was not us.
That's what I'm saying.
We had to do all kinds of fucking classroom study.
Yeah, we did that too.
And then we had to fucking drive and then take the test, which is the driving test, and then they gave you your permit. And then 6 months later, I think it was upgraded into a license, and it just came in the mail. That's how.
Ours did too. But I'm just saying that.
I don't know what
the permit, they just gave it to you with just a written test. You don't have to drive to get a permit.
In Michigan, you had to drive and do the whole driving test.
You were expected to have the permit.
It was a temporary driver's license.
Yeah, that's what this was too.
You had passed the test. You had passed the driving test.
Here, you only had to pass a written test to get that.
You had to do the driving test and everything, and then they gave you a temporary license like 6 months, and then it upgraded. That's how I remember it. And Gramthars was in there. That bitch did the same program with me through the same high school. We all did it. He would remember. I don't remember. That's how I remembered it being.
I mean, it might be totally different now. I'm just saying
it was another state.
No, I'm just saying
Michigan.
No, I'm saying in Florida it might be totally different now. I don't know. That was a long time ago.
But here's the thing: we had even on that permit, you could drive at night under a lot of different circumstances.
Yeah, you could here too.
You could drive. You could still drive at night
if you were going to and from work.
Right, and then
you were allowed.
I think you were allowed to drive on the weekends. Which, wait a minute, hold on, what? So you would think that the weekends would be the highest risk ones because I remember going on dates on the permit. Driving my date around on a permit. I remember that. And that was weekend.
It might have been. I don't really remember that. Like, it might have been like that here, too. I don't really remember.
I just didn't want you
All I remember was that...
I remember that the nighttime driving was no inconvenience at all.
Because I remember being horrified at being like, okay, so these 15-year-olds, you're not even going to let them actually drive a car. You're just going to, like, let them pass a written test. And you're going to let them drive around on the roads with other people.
Sandra's saying, I'm going to brush my teeth, but Tom and Jenny getting so feisty, she don't want to...
Right.
Well, we're drinking, and fucking, you know, I don't know. Testosterone therapy. It's got
Plus, you guys, he's on test, I'm on test. Yeah. I just finished watching the first season of Handmaid's Tale today, so I'm a little salty.
Yeah, salty.
About dudes in general.
Yeah, I think that's something. She's taking the shit out on me. I don't have anything to do with that shit. I didn't see that.
No, but
I didn't do that.
I'm just telling you that.
Right, yeah.
Right, but you're like yelling at me like about driving to like I'm making it up or something. But I'm just kind of I'm just telling you what it's like in Florida. In Florida.
I understand.
And honestly, it goes from county to county. Right. I grew up in Volusia County, but I didn't take my final driving test there. Like what happened with me was that because my birthday is at the end of September. Like, when the school year started, I was always, like, too young to do stuff because I was always, like, kind of... I wasn't a year behind, but I was always, like, you know, when I started high school, I was, like, 14 instead of 15 or whatever age it was. So I was, like, a year younger because my birthday didn't come till, like, the end of September. So what happened was that in 10th grade... Zach says, thank you, Zach. Is it bad I'm 24 and still don't drive?
Yeah. You're retarded.
No, I didn't get a driver's license until I was 25, 26. Like, I got the permit when I was 15. And then I could never afford a car, so I didn't bother. So I just walked or took the bus everywhere.
I can understand that could happen if you're in more of an urban type environment, but me and Gramthars, we were up in Michigan, and it's suburban. And then in Mississippi, people were driving at 13, 14, driving around. Okay? Because you have to. Everything's far apart. It's all country. Cops aren't going to bother you. Your dad went to school with those cops. These are little bitty places. And you're driving tractors. They're driving farm equipment. There's no difference. As long as they're not running around drinking and driving, at that age, and if it's a local boy, they'll let that slide. And it just what happens in the country is very different.
Yeah, it depends on your circumstances because some people that live in a city that don't if you grew up in New York City or somewhere like that where you don't really need a car.
Yeah.
Then because I used to work with a woman.
In the ass in a place like that.
It's like I used to work with a woman who was from New York City. She grew up there, and she didn't learn to drive until she was in her 30s because she's like, I didn't need to. I could either walk or take the subway everywhere I needed to go, and it's just like so I didn't bother. So in that situation, I really don't think there's anything wrong with it.
You couldn't live in the South without a car.
In Florida. Everything is so far apart. Everything is like suburbs. We don't have this big downtown. We don't have very good public transport. So it's kind of
15 minutes out that way, it's damn jungle.
Yeah. So forever. Honestly, if you don't have a car, you're really handicapped.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Daytona Beach, which isn't a huge town. They had a bus system. It's called Votran. I don't know if it's still called that. Like Volusia Transport. That's what it stood for. But that was so sucky that you could only work. The place where I worked for many years, I worked at a newspaper. I basically had to get up 2 hours before I had to be there, get ready, get on the bus. The bus ride was 45 minutes, and then I had to walk part of the way too, because just the routes were fucked. It took forever to get anywhere. It's you really needed an hour and a half to get anywhere you wanted to go. So after a while, you if you didn't have a car, because I couldn't afford one for a long time, so you either learn to just walk. I bought a house in 2002, 2003, something like that. Not too far from my grandmother's house. So I could walk to my grandmother's house if I needed to go there. I could walk to a grocery store. There was a grocery store. There was actually 2 grocery stores within about a mile. there was a not a convenience store, but like a Walgreens type of thing that was like within a mile, so I can actually walk and get my groceries. There was a mall that was, you could bike there. It was about 5 miles. So I kind of like, you know, the house I lived in, I was kind of like, it was kind of in a shitty neighborhood, but I was like, at least I can walk to a grocery store. I could walk to a Walgreens. I could walk to, you know, I could take a bike to the mall if I needed to. Because the bus was just, you could take the bus if you had to, but it took forever. It took like an hour to get anywhere. Because everything was just so spread out, you know what I mean? So finally, I broke down and bought a car. And it had been so long since I took driver's ed that I needed a refresher. So like I said, I hired this lady like for 2 weeks. And I was just kind of like, I really need to learn to drive again because I haven't been doing it for so long.
Kyle Ashley says the same in New England because of all the farms. Kid drives farm stuff. Yeah. Kids grow up driving stuff. I grew up riding little fucking Honda Trail motorcycles, some three-wheelers. You know, fucking for every summer of my life, I was going to Mississippi. And this is being back in the 70s. We had these things called three-wheelers. Big old three-wheel motorcycle. I had one in the front, two in the back. They were made by Honda. And we were like 10, 11, 12 around that time. Me and all the other boys, David and all the fucking Paul and Brian, our dads all had those. And we'd just get on those things and ride them around out in the fucking fields and fucking wipe out and wreck and roll them and get hurt and fucking run them through fucking ponds. And yeah, we'd run them into the pond and then we had to fucking pull them back out. That was a fucking pain. It was kind of an accident. Somebody thought that maybe you could run the thing if you were fast enough to run it across the water because it had those big old inflatable. It didn't work.
Yeah.
No, it didn't work because the front wheel doesn't drive. It probably would work if all three wheels spun. But nah, we hit that. It started with David. David hit that thing at about 45 miles an hour. Hit the water. He went out about 30 or 40 feet, but the thing fucking sunk. Then we had to fucking go in there and fucking tie a rope to it, fucking pull it out with the other ones. It took forever to drain the water out. We thought we permanently fucked that thing up, but it eventually fired back up and we were riding around. Just fucking funny shit we were doing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if you grew up somewhere where there was, like, good public transportation, because honestly, if I lived somewhere where there's good public transportation or shit was walkable, I wouldn't bother driving either. I wouldn't bother having a car, because having a car is kind of a pain in the ass. I don't really like having to drive. I don't like driving. I don't really like having to drive places. I would rather just be able to, like... walk or bike or... No
Need for Me Too says that fucking you couldn't get a date in his where he came up if you didn't have a car. No, there's no way. No way. You're back when we were in high school, Gramthars will fucking back me up where we were. If you didn't have access to a car over the weekend, you didn't have a license to fucking thrill. You did not have a license to thrill. You were not going to get any dates. No fucking way. Fucking even the girls your age, before you could drive, they wouldn't go out with you unless you had a car. They were all fucking dating older boys that had fucking access to those fucking cars. So that was the way out of boyhood and into manhood, is to have that fucking car. It was like a rite of passage.
Well, I kind of feel like even back in the day, like in Daytona, like I said, a lot of the girls had their own cars, but they kind of wanted, you know... They kind of wanted them to, the dude to have a car too. It's like you wanted somewhere to like have sex. You can't just, you know.
It was like a moving hotel room, and you could take it to the drive-in.
Well, you had to park. Well, in Daytona, you had to park behind the church.
We used to take it to the drive-in
because the drive-in had closed by that point.
Or we parked that shit. We'd go across the fucking bridge and go to Grozeal Island, and fucking park that bitch down by the fucking Riverside. Fucking those cars would be bouncing out there, like 5 or 6 of them. You had to turn your lights off, go in there, dark. There he is. Gramthars knows what he's talking about. Says his first car was a Mercury LN7. It was a Poon Magnet. I don't remember that one.
Man, my first car was a Toyota Tercel.
Yeah.
It was a 5-speed. I had to learn to drive a stick for that shit.
Yeah. Then Gramthars comes in the cemetery off fucking King Road in Jefferson. I don't remember. We didn't go to that one. I never went to that one. I trying to remember where that was. What was near there? I didn't ever go to that.
I kind of feel like back in my day, like I said, the drive-in had closed by the time I was in high school. I'm pretty sure. So I kind of feel like people were just kind of like, they'd either go out to Tomoka State Park, because there was a lot of like turnoffs on the road, so people would go out there even though it was like dark as shit, but that was cool because it was like kind of spooky.
Near the corner.
Or they would go, one girl I grew up with, it's like, you know, everybody would go kind of, there was this church that was like right around the corner from her house, and it was in Ormond Beach. It was kind of in a nice area, but they had this big, huge parking lot that kind of like scrolled around the back. So it's like if you went around the back, like to this big ass parking lot, like the cops that were going by on Nova Road wouldn't see you.
Gramthars,
so
what was the name of that drive-in we were always tearing up? You knew the name of it. I forgot what it was. That place was the fucking teenage hotel room. That was the fucking teenage public open air hotel room. It's hard to believe that shit actually happened. I don't think anything like that would happen today. Fucking cops would probably... That shit would... If that shit was around today...
Well, cops can't be everywhere.
No, this is what would happen. Listen to me, Jenny. What would happen today is bitches would pull their phone out and start videotaping all that shit that was actually going down, and shit would hit the internet, and people would be outraged, and they'd send fucking SWAT teams down there to break that shit up.
No, they wouldn't.
That shit was fucking something else, man.
No one cares what teenagers are doing in their fucking cars. Yeah, they're going to send the SWAT team.
George.
And then the SWAT team's going to come down there.
That shit would have ended up on the internet.
This is your paranoid fantasy.
That shit would have ended up on the internet as a deluge of fucking underage porn. They'd have to put the fucking end of that. They'd put an end to that shit.
That's really not how shit works, but okay.
That's how that shit would work in my mind.
Yeah, in your mind. That's pretty much the only place.
That shit was fucking wild. That shit was fucking wild.
That's pretty much the only place.
It's like something out of the damn movies. Gramthars, tell him, man, I'm not fucking lying, man. That fucking...
No one thinks you're lying.
Fort George was it was off the fucking chain, man.
I know you're...
It was off the fucking chain. Yeah, it was like... It was just another era.
You're such a boomer.
It was another era.
You're like not even a boomer, but you are kind of a boomer.
No, I'm a Gen Xer. But
because you're always like reliving...
No. I think what happened... Don't listen to her. I think what happened was that shit was happening like that because there were no cell phones. There was no way to record anything. Nowadays, I think those cell phones would probably put a damper on something like that now. People would be paranoid that somebody would record it and it would show up on the internet. I don't know though. You know, I don't know if drive-ins to that extent are still going on.
Well, nobody like drive-ins are a very niche thing nowadays.
That's not really going on.
It's not really a thing. I'm not saying that people still make out in cars and have sex in cars. They obviously do.
It wasn't always inside the car.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just
okay.
I know. I've been there. I've been there. I know. Right. I've been there. I'm just saying that recently.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Recently.
So, well, you know, before me and you got together, but all right. You know, still.
I thought you were talking about like last week.
Still, no, still fairly.
Because I wasn't there.
Fairly recently.
Don't say shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna let you wonder.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It was before we got together.
Okay.
So you know, so I know that's going on, but it's like I don't know if people like. I think that people that have grown up nowadays are just so used to everything being recorded, everything being public. It seems like it doesn't bother them as much.
Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't bother them.
All right, Ghostface Kitty. Are virgin daiquiris or pina coladas manly or acceptable? You're just asking that, okay? You should know better. Don't ask it. None of that virgin shit is manly. No.
But the whole point of like having a virgin drink is to make it look like you have an alcoholic one. Well, it's just like so you don't feel weird around your like, you know, maybe you're in AA and you're like sober now and it's like you want to hang out with your friends and like not feel weird, so it's like you want to have a cocktail that looks like a cocktail, and it's like I said, I'm not judging. Graham says we would toss them at each other during recess like little water balloons. I think he's talking about fucking condoms. I guess. Yeah. You're so like I don't know. I don't really like.
Don't bring me into this.
I'm not bringing you into
anything. You're trying to bring
me
into this shit. Hold on, it's almost time for me to put on a fucking wig.
I was gonna say it seems like man, we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes and like no wigs.
Yeah.
No wigs.
I'm trying to get it. Okay. It's always good to start the night off with this one.
Is it? I kind of like the Mozart one though.
Don't second guess my wig choice. This one always gets me fucking in the mood. This one fucking fires me up for some reason.
That's your Michael Caine slash
the spirit of Michael Caine
Led
starts taking over.
Zeppelin-ish kind of wig.
There's something about this wig takes me back to the 70s. All right, when Michael Caine was still drinking. All right, I don't know if he's drinking as hard as he used to drink.
Wait, is he dead now?
No, I think he's alive.
Okay. I was going to say if he's dead, he's probably not drinking at all.
Michael Caine, he kind of straightened up to become Alfred in Batman, I think, you know.
Oh, that's true.
But I
thought he died, though.
I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's dead. I'm not sure Michael Caine can die. He might be slightly pickled.
Slightly immoral.
Like
well,
pickled.
see, that's what I keep hoping.
Yeah.
That's what I keep hoping.
Where the hell's Tila? Anyway, Tila didn't show up today. I just realized...
She probably has better shit to do.
I realized that Tila's a catfish account. That shit's fake as fuck. It's gotta be. Because she got a husband, right? And if you look at the name Tila, that's He-Man's girlfriend's name. So...
I had totally forgotten.
Is her husband He-Man?
She would probably say yeah.
Yeah, we have to see.
I had totally forgotten... Because we rewatched, like I said, we were rewatching The Toys That Made Us last night. We didn't watch all of them. We just, like, watched select ones. And we watched the He-Man one because that was really entertaining.
Michael Caine is still alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought isn't that weird? I thought he died.
No, he's alive. They're asking what's the most manly wig. Most manly wig's my fucking black Conan wig.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's probably. Mm-hmm. I mean, because the one that looks like you're in Death Clock.
Especially when my shirt's off. Just shirtless with the fucking
One of these days you'll
wig.
get drunk enough to just take all your clothes off.
All the clothes off. Yeah. Just fucking pick everything up. Just drop my junk down on the little fucking table right here.
Pow.
Put the damn camera on it.
Or click.
Freshly
or
shorn nuts and shit. Just fucking
freshly
steaming.
shorn nuts.
Just fucking steaming on the fucking table. See? Zach's mouth's watering.
Is it?
Oh, it's gotta be. Zach's going, yeah, I'll pay to see that. Zach, I can't fucking show you that, bro. They'll fucking take the channel from me.
From you. from me.
It's just let me use it's just a turn of speech, you know what I mean? It's just how I'm just painting
like
pictures with words.
You got money, I don't.
I'm just painting pictures with words.
Oh my god.
Sandra says hadn't seen Sophie in forever. Sophie, she's been good. I talk to her fucking all the time on direct messages and shit. She's working at it's like a mail sorting place. It's a state job, so she's working for state of Michigan, and I think it's U.S. Post Office. She's kind of subcontracted for them, and she's just kind of bummed out, fucking. It's just personal shit, you know what I mean? She's like sick of the place, wants to get out of here. I said, you can come visit us anytime you want to. And she goes, man, I want to, but I got to fucking finish this job first and blah, 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 blah. And she's just fucking always locked up in the house and nothing to do, that type of deal. And fucking, she's always fucking worried about, like her diet and working out and not feeling all that good. And I says, look, man, it's fucking... You need to get off all them fucking weird ass pills and birth control pills. Fucking all that shit that fucks with your hormones, man. Eventually it can catch up with you. Now that I know a little bit more about the endocrine system, I can understand how much damage birth control pills do to women. Bad idea to fuck with a woman. It's better to put the man on fucking test and have his nuts shut down, and then that's a better form of birth control, because he'll actually get healthier because he's got testosterone. He's injecting it. He'll even get bigger, you know what I mean, fucking healthier. And he'll become temporarily sterilized, and you still have sex drive and everything. They actually, for some reason, the doctors, when they started to fucking fuck with this shit, they tried to temporarily sterilize the women. That's a lot harder to do. It's easier to temporarily sterilize the men. They should have went that way first.
Yeah, but the reason they didn't do that was because men don't like to be inconvenienced about anything. So it's like much easier to just, let's make the women deal with this bullshit.
It might have been the thinking might have been more money into it. It could have been that.
See, I don't think it was that.
It could have been another thing where, like, well, it's the women that have the babies.
It was, well, it's so the dudes making the decisions also. So they're just kind of like, well, it's not us, so we don't care. Having the baby.
They're the ones that's having the baby.
We'll just fob all the shit off on. I was thinking that earlier. Like I said, I'm a little salty because I was watching, like, Handmaid's Tale.
She's salty. She's fucking
But I was just kind of like, I don't think that most dudes, 95% of dudes, I don't think they could survive a week as a woman. I don't think they could. I really don't. Especially if you had, like, fucking had to deal with, like, periods and, like, birth control and all that kind of shit. Like, all the shit that we have to deal with.
You have to hormonally make them women.
Oh, my God.
If you hormonally make them women, and they would. What did the super chat say?
Thank you, Zach. Zach says, still not my type, Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, see.
Got to put a ring on it first.
This bitch is trying to be hard to hit.
Got to put a ring on it first.
He's trying to be hard to get.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. Dom the Bomb, thank you. Jenny and Tom, thanks for being awesome over the last couple of years. Have a drink on me. Thank you very much.
That's a $20 super chat, isn't it?
No, it's $9.99. £9.99. Okay.
If it's over $10, between 10 or 20, I think it's a yellow. I can't read it from here. I think it's yellow. But,
he doesn't have his glasses on because he doesn't want to wear them because he doesn't want to look like nerdy on the show.
No, that's not what it is.
I'm not bothered about looking nerdy.
No, they're not in here. Are they? No, I had them. I got them right here. In my hand.
Put them on your damn...
I didn't put them on.
Put them on your damn face, then.
Put them on... Look, see, this is how it is.
Put them on your damn face.
She tries to get in charge. See? She tries to get in charge. Over little things like that.
Every single thing. Like, look, we go out to the bar.
Uh-huh.
I take my glasses because I can't... Like, I can see without them, but I can't read anything. I can't look at my phone or anything like that. So I just kind of put them on my head. He will not take glasses with him when we go out. Because you have yours.
Yeah.
So it's like now people are like trying to show him shit on the phone. I can't see that, and I have to go here.
Yeah. So does the wig make Tom smarter? No.
Absolutely
not. Absolutely not. Stupid. Seth says, I'm trying to get my man's nuts shut down, but he's not. What?
What? I'm reading a fucking comment. Shut up.
So am I. So Seth says, I'm trying to get my man's nuts shut down, but he's not so happy with that idea. You have to that's not the approach. It's not the baby shut your nuts down. That's not how you fucking do it. You say, babe, go on test. Go on testosterone. You get bulked up, fucking you'll be feeling good, looking good. Go work out some, put on a few pounds. And just don't take HCG or Clomid. And because his testosterone level in his bloodstream will be high, the testicles will decide that, well, I got enough in there, I don't need to make any. They just kind of go on vacation. It's safe. They've had dudes that have been shut down for fucking years. Yeah, the nuts go on vacation.
Sorry, I just had like a mental picture of two little testicles like laying on some beach chairs with margaritas.
Yeah, like, fuck it, we got plenty. We don't need to make
with little feet and arms.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need to make any more, and we don't need any testosterone. And when the nuts shut down, it also shuts down sperm production. So you will become temporarily neutralized. They have some of those pro bodybuilders that have been shut down for decades. And then they go back on something like Clomid or HCG, which is a fertility drug used in fertility treatment for women who are postmenopausal. You take that, and that'll fucking wake those nuts right back up. And then just a couple weeks later, fucking they start fucking coming back. And some of those dudes have fucking been shut down for so long that their nuts vanish back up into their body. Get so small like a raisin, and they go back in just like a prepubescent
going up here
boy.
where it's warm.
Yeah, they go up in there and it's just an empty sack. Okay, and they can be like
weird to have like all your shit hanging out your body all the time.
And they go up in there and they can be up in there for a long, long time without any problem. So it does act as like a temporary.
You're vulnerable little.
It is a temporary castration, I guess you could say. You're not castration. Wouldn't be a good term. Temporary sterilization. You shoot total blanks. Nothing comes out.
Pew pew.
Because I've done that too. I've just stopped taking some of the other shit that I took. Shut me down. And it's not an inconvenience or anything. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't feel any different. You can't fucking spray out them fucking gorgeous showers and shit. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's not you're gonna fuck this sexy ass load. It doesn't happen. But it's just, you know what I mean?
Who is that sexy to though? You?
To me. Yeah, okay. Like, that's right, bitch. That's right. Gotcha.
I'm just like, all right. I gotta go take a shower.
Whatever.
But, you know.
Jenny's fucking hilarious.
Perceive things very differently.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. We have like fucking, we have a new.
It's part of that, damn.
We have a new chat person.
So there's a new Chad?
No.
Or a chat person?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is it?
I was going to say, hello, Lily Howell. Hi, you two. New here to the chat, but I've been a big fan, a loyal listener for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to the Conspiranormal Boys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah, we love that. We love those guys. We've been on that show like so many times. Yeah. We always like do their show whenever they ask. You guys are getting me through a really rough patch right now. Oh, man, that's like... Yeah. That gets me right here. I mean, I hope you get through all the shit because
Sandra said she doesn't trust men to handle birth control. He might let me a lot. No, you know, because if that dude busts a nut, nothing comes out, then you're safe.
I don't trust him either. I don't blame you. Oracle says the studies were successful in terms of male birth control working, but the male participants hated the side effects, and the side effects were about what women put up with on the pill. Yep, that's why men wouldn't do it.
Well, it depends on what was it that they used. What did they use? They didn't use test. They didn't use anabolics like Anavar. Did they? Because fucking dudes love that.
Well, yeah, but...
They probably gave them some other fucked up bullshit. Just give them fucking testosterone.
Like the fucking fucked up bullshit that we've had to, you know.
Right.
But, you know.
Well, see, here's the thing.
No one cares if it's us.
No. You're reading too much into it. You're reading too much into it. It's real hard to get a patent on testosterone. Okay? These drug companies want a certain drug that only they can sell, all right? That they have a patent on, so they can make a bunch of money on it.
Did my ponytail fall off?
Yeah.
My ponytail fell off.
Yeah. You had a ponytail?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had that.
It's the same color as my actual hair, so I'll just leave it off. I don't care.
Yeah, so they always want some kind of patented special shit that only they can sell you. You know what I mean? Just fucking take testosterone. Or good old fucking... You know, like I said, Anavar will do that, which is a very mild. But the thing is you can't run that all the time. You can run testosterone 24/7 for the rest of your fucking life and have no fucking problems, as long as the dosage is right. You just don't want to go way up into what they call super physiological levels. You know what I mean? Where it's like 6 times what a man should have, or even 3 times, 4 times what a man should have. You know, then you start running into long-term problems. But it all just depends on how old you are, too. Like, what is long-term? You know, at 50, long-term doesn't really matter anymore, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you don't have enough your life expectancy is long enough to worry about that kind of shit.
I mean, if you live that long without getting hit by a bus, then you're, like, really, really lucky.
Right.
So.
You're lucky to live to 80, so you don't have to really worry, you know, beyond 50.
Goat nut serum. For real, did you read that fucking book? Oh my God, what was the name of that book? What was the name of that dude? We need to do a whole show about that dude.
What dude?
Because there's like...
the goat nut dude?
Yeah. The goat nut dude. Well, not only did he do the goat nut thing, which, spoiler alert, didn't really work out as he had hoped. But also, he was like super instrumental in like starting radio advertising. Like, he, like, had the money, like, to buy his own radio station and all this other kind of stuff. So he was kind of, like, one of the guys that, like, pioneered that kind of shit. It's a fascinating fucking story. And it's, like, I read a book about it a few years back, and it was just, like, really interesting. So I keep thinking that, like, yeah, he, you know, cut dude's scrotes open and put goat nuts in there, which didn't really work out. Some of the people died, and the people that didn't die didn't really do anything. So, you know. Can you imagine, like, how fucking desperate you gotta be? Yeah, cut my scrotum and put some goat nuts in there. Let's see if that works out. I can't imagine. I can't imagine being that desperate. I just can't. That you would just say, I don't have a scrot, but it's like, if I did, I would not want anyone cutting anything open and putting random alien things in there. So, you know, just saying.
Oracle Mom says it was a combination of testosterone and progesterone. Okay, yeah, you don't need the progesterone. Just testosterone will do it.
But the fact that, like, dudes were just bitching about that, about the side effects of that.
They were pussies. They're pussies.
I'm just kind of like...
Yeah. Pussies.
Wait, come into our world for a second and see how that feels.
Yeah. There is some merit to what Jenny's saying. I've dealt with a lot of guys who can barely handle even the simplest of drug protocols, even just for health and longevity. My dad had a really hard time just with the very basics in dealing with his diabetes. There's something about certain kind of guys that just, well, yeah, I ain't going, well, you know, I'll be okay. You know what I mean?
In general.
And they just don't fucking, some guys are just very indisciplined.
In general, dudes are not real good about, they don't like going to the doctor, which I get. I don't like it either. They don't like going to the doctor. They don't like getting preventative care.
Yeah.
They don't like, and anytime, like, they have to take, honestly, like, every dude I've ever known or, like, been in a relationship with, if they got sick, it was, like, the end of the fucking world. They were, like, a giant baby about it. Like, honestly, I don't know. So sometimes I wonder how a dude would deal with, like, having a period every month or every 3 weeks in my case, because in my case it was every 3 weeks. I just don't know if they'd be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
I really don't, because, like, honestly, like, every 3 weeks, like, for a day or two, like, you can't walk upright and you just feel like you're gonna throw up or something, like, for 2 days. I don't know if you guys could deal with that, like, for that many years.
Graham asked me a question: is big dick energy a learned trait or is it genetic? It's genetic. It's both. It's a mixture of both. It's both. It's both nature and nurture. The salty cracker would know more about that, but fucking dick energy is the Chinese know it as yang force, or yang force. I think yang force. Yang. It's the positive side. It's optimism. That's the idea. Trying to get in some shit. You know, that's the optimism part of it. But I don't know. I guess that's all I can say about it.
Well, you gotta talk.
It can. If you catch a person at the right time, at the right stages in life, you can kind of foster the growth of that energy, of yang energy, and they can fucking utilize it better after that. So in other words, like I don't know. That's something that's best. It's kind of like part of the young man's game, you know what I mean? Fucking your late teens, that's where you start fucking understanding the power of that, of optimism. Because a lot of things, you know, there have been dudes that have fucking made all these kind of self-help books and everything, and they've tried to rationalize it and make money on explaining how it works. Optimism is a very powerful thing. The mind is very powerful. A lot of stuff we were doing in the military, a lot of the dudes that did a lot of great things physically were very tired and physically weak because they were just worn down, you know, through like long periods of exhaustion and sleep deprivation. But they did great things on it, and it was all just kind of like mental willpower. It's kind of like what Nietzsche would call, you know, the will. And I really very much believe in it. George Lucas and what's his name? Fucking his mentor. Who's the dude that did fucking God of a Thousand Faces and
Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell. That's exactly. He's from UCLA. He's a professor in mythology.
Yeah,
there's a certain truth in mythology. I read a couple of his books. Right. They called it, you know, Lucas called it the Force. You know, but it's...
I gotta pee.
The Chinese and the Buddhists would probably call it, you know, yang energy. Or, you know. But it's, the mind is very powerful. The mind is more powerful than the body in many ways. It can give you almost a superhuman levels of endurance. Some of these people that have survived fucking situations that I can imagine it. You know what I mean? But I don't know how they did it. Like dudes that could survive for a year at sea in a fucking emergency dinghy, you know, trying to catch fish with their hands and eating them all with no fresh water and recycling shit. Fucking bizarre. And trying to capture rainwater and just, you know, living off of a couple drops of fucking fresh water a day. and fish guts. Shit, man, imagine that. But mind is a powerful thing. See what everybody's talking about. Yeah, no need for you to talk about the hero's journey. Yeah, mythology always fascinated. Yeah, they're talking about John Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon and went to UCLA. Yeah, Campbell. Every time about Campbell and mythicism, right? Yeah, Dom the Bomb says everybody make sure to thumbs up the video. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maybe we want to put on an Elvis wig.
Well, you have one. So.
Yeah, I know. Thank you very much, people. Thank you very much. It might be time for me to put on an Elvis.
It might be Elvis time. You need a peanut butter banana sandwich.
Man, I haven't had a fucking peanut butter sandwich in a long time.
No, me neither.
There.
I'm trying to
Thank you very much, people.
I'm trying to like not eat. You know.
Yeah. But
big kilt energy. Sure. I like a man in a kilt.
I need to get.
You should get a kilt.
I need to get a kilt, but I'm gonna get a kilt for my gladiator outfit.
Yeah, you need a gladiator outfit.
Yeah, I'm gonna get like the Roman kilt, and fucking shin guards, metal shin guards, and like a Murmillo outfit, or a Secutor or something, with the helmet and the fucking gladius. Wear that bitch to the club.
Yeah, you ought to.
Yeah. Little short buckler, shield and stuff.
Yeah, DJ Maniac says, I have 5 kilts. Oh, see now. I don't know, I like kilt. Look at your hair.
No, it's okay, baby. Just trying to get everything all straightened up. Hold on, I'm going to start singing like Danzig and shit. Actually, this is my Danzig wig. This would be Elvis and shit. He'd be like...
Well, you could be Elvis / Danzig.
There's a man in New Orleans. He plays a rock and roll. He's a guitar man. He's a great big soul.
You could
Lays
sing...
down deep like a ton of coal. Go by the name of King Creole. He said, gone, gone, gone. Jumping like a catfish on a pole. He said, he's gone, gone, gone. Haven't shaken King Creole. Like that one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's a man in New Orleans. Yeah, I can do it, right? Yeah. Okay.
Camp Guy says, they say the firefighter is the single sexiest guy to many women. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to say across the board. This is so hard. I know they even have like that firefighter calendar and all that kind of stuff. I get it. Like, I get that they're like manly mans are like super strong and everything, but also they will go in a building and save a kitty, which, you know, we all love that energy. But I don't know. It depends on the firefighter, doesn't it? That's all I gotta say. I don't know you, so I don't know. I don't know.
I think firefighters are universally liked.
Well, how can you not like somebody that like saves you from a burning house?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to dislike somebody like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't have all the baggage of cops who sometimes do questionable things. Basically, their whole job is to save people from shitty situations. You know what I mean? It's kind of like EMTs. I kind of feel like people can't dislike EMTs either for pretty much the same reason. Because it's like, that's the if you're in a shitty situation, that's the person you want to see. Oh, thank God you're here. You know what I mean?
Saying that I should wear this wig when I go out and tell people it's my natural hair.
I mean, no one will believe you because everybody knows you.
Me.
You still should, though.
Yeah. You got a comb over
there? There's a brush right there.
I was like, you got a comb over there, Mama?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You see what I have to put up
with? I think you're talking about.
Like, you guys just see this like a few hours a week, like on the live stream. I have to put up with this 24/7.
No, she doesn't. She's up in here hiding from me most of the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, she's got to work.
You know what that is. Yeah, but yeah, so seriously.
She's got to work.
Yeah, like, I was thinking today, I was like, gosh, I work from 8 or 9 in the morning until usually 6 in the evening every day, 7 days a week.
Well, you're also watching movies and shit.
Yeah, but a lot of times, like when we watch movies in the evening, it's something we got to review. You don't
have to do it. You just do it.
You
just do it. You don't have to do it.
It's better than a regular job, but it's still, you do have to do it because it's like, I have to have like content. So it's like, you want to like watch some shit that you can like talk about.
If you ever want to fucking take a break, you can always just go in there and watch a movie in there. I don't care.
I mean, like I said, I've been watching Handmaid's Tale because, I wanted to watch it anyway, but I'm doing it actually got pushed back because everybody was like as behind as I was, so I didn't feel too bad. But we were supposed to do like a big panel discussion about it, and they're going to record it like at the end of August. And like so many people were like, holy shit, I've only seen like season 1, and it's like I got to catch up. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't even finished season 1, so I don't feel so bad now. I finished season 1 this morning. Like I'm literally like exercising in my office and like watching like the last episode, and I was just kind of like, I at least have to finish season 1 so I feel like I accomplished something. There's like 3 more seasons to go before the 22nd, like when they're gonna do it. But like I said, it's just kind of like I don't know where it's gonna go now. Like I said, I read the book, but obviously they did a bunch of different shit with it, so we'll see how it goes.
Lee Howell goes, damn, Tom, homeboy can sing, and then he goes like an encore sing, first and last and always. So he knows that song. Now he goes, I'm drinking with you guys. This is cool. Yeah,
he sings Sisters of Mercy in the car like all the time.
Well, when it comes on.
I mean, when it comes on, because like I said, I have my radio station, which is, I just have like the generic goth radio.
Yeah.
So they play like a lot of Sisters of Mercy. So whenever that comes on, he'll sing it. He sings Sisters of Mercy. He sings some older shit. You can sing like Roy Orbison and stuff like that.
You can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coming back one day, come what may on Blue Bayou.
See, there you
go. Yeah. With the fishing boats and the sails afloat on Blue Bayou. Yeah. Yeah, I remember all that shit.
That's a good... I love Roy Orbison, actually. He was like a...
Candy-colored clown, they call us Sandman. Tiptoes in my room every night. And just he sprinkles stardust and he whispers, go to sleep, everything will be alright. I close my eyes and drift away into the magic night. What's next? I always say, in dreams I walk with you.
Every time you sing Roy Orbison, it makes me feel like I'm in a David Lynch movie.
In dreams I talk with you.
Which is cool, I'm not saying.
In dreams you're mine all of the time. In dreams, in dreams.
Oh boy. I encouraged it.
No, you should encourage it. It's just going to happen.
Sandra says, talking of work, Jenny, you should make an ad for the cookbook and show it on the main shows. Yeah, I did think about that. I just haven't got around to it yet. I think those shows probably attract most of the new viewers. They do. And they might not know about the book yet. Jenny, do you recommend The Handmaid's Tale? Yes, I do. It's awesome, but it's going to bum you out. And if you're a woman, it's going to make you really, 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 really mad.
All right, they're asking me if Billy Idol was manly.
Fuck yeah.
Yes, for his age group at the time. And then as he aged, yes, he was. You know what I mean? Like, he was a good example of how you...
I like Billy Idol.
He was a good example of how you're supposed to be in your 20s and a pretty good example of in your 30s. And he's an old dude now, but he's kept himself together. Yeah, he's pretty good. And he also had... Another thing that kind of you got to factor in with Billy is that he's a junkie. That dude, not only is he's in and out of coke, I think, probably away from that. That dude is a heroin addict. I mean, he's got to be. I mean, he was young. I don't know if he's still out of it, but he's always said that he had serious drug problems. And it's kind of rare that a junkie can hold himself together for that long. And but no, he lived a good life. And he had a good career. Now, he can't write that well, all right? He a lot of his famous songs that you know him by, he had help writing those. And they bought a lot of songs, too. And some songs that ended up being very popular were written for him, but he didn't buy them. Like that song. What was it? The one that Simply Red did. It
wasn't Simply Red. I thought it was.
Simply Red bought it.
I thought it was. What are them other motherfuckers called?
There's a bunch of songs that other people did that were actually written for Billy Idol.
I thought it was Simple Minds, not
Simple Minds. That's
not
right.
Simply Red. Yeah.
What was that called?
Simple Minds.
Don't you want me? Right? No. Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me.
The Simple Minds one that was in Breakfast Club.
Yeah, Simple Minds bought that, but that was made for Billy Idol.
And if you look on YouTube, there are demos of Billy Idol singing that.
Yeah. Well, no, later on he came back and did a single of it.
Oh, okay.
But they made somebody wrote that for him at the high times of his career. It was right after I think it was right after a Rebel Yell album, and he liked the song, but he thought it was a little too soft. So
that's a great song though.
So he passed on it.
I mean, gonna say.
And Simple Minds bought it. But then later on, he said he regretted not buying that song
because that was a massive.
It's a fucking great song. It's a great song.
And it's a great song, just all around.
Right. And then when you hear Billy singing it, you go, oh, okay, yeah. It makes a lot more sense when Billy Idol's singing it. It sounds great.
But
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Simple Minds, but they did have like some good songs. Like I said, whether they write them or not, I don't really know, but. They had Everybody Wants to Rule the World. That was a good song.
Yeah.
Remember that was in the... Did you see the movie Real Genius with Val Kilmer? Mm. Did you see that movie?
No.
Oh my God. We need to do like a retrospective on that because I feel like a lot of people... That movie and My Science Project... I kind of feel like are two movies from the 80s that I don't really see anybody... They're not horror movies, but I don't really see a lot of people talking about them, and I fucking loved those movies back in the day. They were on cable, like, all the time. Yeah,
Donald Baum says he wrote Dance with Myself, Rebel Yell. Yeah, he wrote those. But you also have to understand that went through a quality control process. People helped him with that. Duran Duran was the same way. As Duran Duran got really big... They wrote some of that stuff, but they had a whole team of people and writers to help polish that. Like, look at the demos for Thrill to a Kill. Or, View to a Kill.
Well, that's a James Bond theme.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously, they're going to have, like, Cubby Broccoli and all this. Because I think he was still alive at that time, so...
And there was a lot of stuff that... You look up Duran Duran demos. There's a big difference between the demos and what ended up being recorded. And it's because they worked on them, and they had a bunch of dudes fucking listening. That goes, that's not right. It's got to go like this. Oh, you know what? You need more lyrics here. You need another verse here. We got to do so. It's and then when those guys vanished, then you ended up with albums like Big Thing, which
honestly I love Duran Duran.
Yeah.
I bought Big Thing.
And,
I think that was the last album of theirs that I bought.
Yeah, so did I.
I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to like buy more after that.
And then you ended up with shit like Medazid Land, which had a couple of good songs on it. Electric Barbarella was great on it.
Yeah, that's a good song.
But a lot of the other stuff was good. It was just that it was not that same Duran Duran pop standard. It had changed a lot. Really, Duran Duran's best album, if you ask me, was Notorious. I don't know. I don't think Jenny agrees with me, but I liked Notorious.
I'm going to say Rio, but Notorious was good too. Honestly, I didn't like Notorious as much when it came out because I bought it on vinyl back in 1987. As soon as it came out, and I liked it, but I didn't love it as much as Rio, as much as the first one, as much as Seven and the Ragged Tiger. I like it more now that I'm older.
Yeah.
But I still like Rio the best. Sorry.
Notorious came out in my senior year of high school, and I was in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil at the time. And I was just fucking rocking, man. Everything was just fucking banging on all cylinders. Life was easy. I had money, and I was in Brazil at that time. I was way old enough to fucking hit clubs, which most American kids back in the United States couldn't go to a club. But no, it was clubs and women and fucking just those lyrics and fucking, it was fucking great. It basically kind of was the soundtrack to all the fucking partying and shit I was doing. the year before I joined the Army. Actually, about a year and a half later, I ended up joining the Army, but when I graduated. But it was just great, you know what I mean? At that time, São Paulo was like a Duran Duran video for me, from my point of view. It was like living in a Duran Duran video.
Geriatric Punk says, is Pornography the best Cure album?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them are good, but Pornography is my favorite. I don't know if it's like the best one.
The Top's great.
Yeah, the Top is also good. I like the Top because it's like really diverse.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different styles on it. I like that. I didn't like it as much at the time because I bought it when it came out in '85.
Faith was good.
All of their like kind of like goth trilogy, you know, I love all their early shit. I even like their really early like kind of more punk shit. Do you like Hatful of Hollow by the Smiths? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It has Handsome Devil on it, which honestly is one of my favorite Smith songs of all time. I love Handsome Devil.
All Smith and all Morrissey is good. You know.
I mean, although I haven't got any Morrissey after Ringleader of the Tormentors was like I think the last one of his that I bought, but I've liked like most of his solo stuff.
There was another band that was kind of like the Smiths in the 80s that I used to listen to. I haven't heard it in a long time. I'm going to go back to it. It was called the House Martins.
Yeah, House Martins.
Yeah,
well, they're from like the same area. Well, there was the House Martins, there was the Wooden Tops.
Yeah.
There was like a whole different thing. I think people like if you didn't grow up in the 80s.
Yeah.
There was this whole thing where you had like your synth pop, if you want to call it that, or like your new wave, which was all kind of like your Depeche Modes, your Cure, your that kind of stuff, like you know bands with synthesizers. And then you had your bands that were like the Smiths that were kind of like a throwback to old 60s British pop mainly. So you had that whole different... And it's weird because I kind of feel like the bands were sort of like at odds with one another, even though in the US we didn't give a shit and we were just like listening to all of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like listening to like synth pop from the 80s, like all of the synthy stuff like New Order and all that stuff. And then I was also listening to the Smiths, even though I think that I don't know. I feel like it mattered more to them than to us. Yeah. But I like a lot of that early Manchester shit. Like I said, like the Smiths, Joy Division. I love The Fall. You don't really hear a lot of people talking about them anymore. And like Mark E. Smith has passed away, sadly. He passed away a year or two ago. But I love all that. I love all that shit.
Down the Bomb said I was talking about is the producers. Yeah, the producers during the production. And the producers for Billy Idol and Duran Duran, when they were fucking spot on and when they were top of the charts, they got the best production available, which really made a difference. Once they were no longer popular, they couldn't quite afford all that support. It changed. It's not like they were bad bands. It's just that they weren't producing fucking super top-notch pop music anymore because that wasn't in vogue. So they had to kind of do almost like underground club music and do things for like fans, which it was good, but it just wasn't quite as catchy. And Billy Idol, actually, his last really good album was Whiplash Smile. No, excuse me. Charm Life was really good too. Cyberpunk was good, but it started to go down after that. You know what I mean? He needs a good team behind him. But he's still Billy Idol. You don't go to see Billy Idol to listen to his new stuff. You go to see Billy Idol to listen to his old stuff. He knows that.
Which, honestly, I was kind of wondered about that because I do kind of feel like lately there's been a thing, because I know there's like a big 80s revival and everybody's like into the 80s. Because shit, man, we go to like 80s nights and there's like fucking 20-year-olds there and they're all like into it. And so now it's like all these 80s bands that had a couple hits back then are like reforming and like doing these like powerhouse tours and like all these people are seeing it. And it's just like, I wonder how I would feel about it. Like if I was in a band, let's say that I was in OMD for argument's sake, even though that was only two dudes in that band. But let's say I was in OMD and it's like I had a few hits back in the, If You Leave and like Enola Gay and whatever. And so then, like, I didn't really have any hits after that. And then now, 20, 30 years later, I'm going on tour, and I'm old and fat now, and it's just kind of like, everybody just wants to hear songs that I played, like, 40 years ago. How would I feel about that? I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's like, I can see how it would be really annoying, but in a way, they have to, like, appreciate, because tons of bands, like, struggle and never get anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that you had like a couple of hits and people still remember you, many decades later, I mean, that's got to mean something, right? So
Mago says the Smiths are so overrated in my view. I don't believe so, bro.
Honestly, I love the Smiths.
No,
Morrissey's a douche, but I've always loved the Smiths since I was a kid.
Well, he's got to be who he is, and he's always been that way.
Yeah, he's always been kind of a douche.
Yeah, he's always been that way. He's a bitch. All right, but he's fucking funny too. The Smiths were great. You're just not seeing it because I know you're in England, so maybe you're prejudiced towards it. Because like even Jesus could not be a fucking Messiah in his own hometown. Is that kind of fucking thing?
You had to go somewhere else.
I had to go. I'm gonna go that way. Morrissey is a master lyricist. A master lyricist beyond any shadow of a doubt. And that's really was the Smiths and Morrissey's claim to fame. Those lyrics. It's not so much the music, even though the music's great. It's the message and the lyrics.
Although the music helped, I'm going to give credit to Johnny Marr in that regard.
But it's really the only mastery that you see there really is lyrics. He was a lyrical master. And you kind of have to be a bitch to be a lyrical master. Because motherfucker was snide, you know what I mean? And he was playing all these games. He was kind of an Oscar Wilde type dude, you know?
Well, that was like his hero. Oscar Wilde and James Dean were like his fucking heroes. And
it was what it was. But the thing is there are a lot of lyrical masters. Like Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead was a lyrical master. You probably wouldn't know because it's hard to understand what he's saying unless you know the lyrics. He was great. Very good. Died recently. Well, I guess it's been a couple years back.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
About 3 or 4 years ago. 4 or 5 maybe. But, no, I was a big fan of fucking Lemmy, too. Very cool.
DJ Maniac says, I picture you being into Moev more than OMD. I can like both things. I like both things.
Things aren't exclusive, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I like everything. My radio station that I have on my phone, my streaming on my phone, is everything from fucking the Misfits and the Undertones and the Stooges. I have like old punk shit, like and Minor Threat. I have all that kind of shit. Then I have like some 90s punk, like Bad Religion and shit like that. And then I have a bunch of 80s new wave. I have a bunch of 80s goth. I have a bunch of 80s indie. Like, I'm super into, like, The Teardrop Explodes and, like, Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. And it's like, I love all that kind of stuff. And then there's, like, some 90s goth in there. There's some, like, 2000s, like, kind of dark wave indie rock type of stuff. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I like all kind of different. Oh, when I also have, like, a bunch of old... I have like Johnny Cash and like Hank Williams, a bunch of that kind of shit. I have a bunch of Leonard Cohen. I have a bunch of that in there. Now, so, you know.
Mango Badger said he also wasn't too much into Joy Division. That's another one where you're wrong. Yeah, I just gotta say you're wrong. I love Joy Division. The thing with Joy Division is that oh boy, I forgot his name. What's his Ian Curtis.
Ian Curtis.
You have to understand. Go get that fucking Closer album. And listen to that. And listen to those lyrics. This sounds like a wise and world-weary old man of fucking 50 saying this shit. Where are the young men, the weight on their shoulders? Where are the young men, where can they be? Where can they be? He's like, what the fuck is this shit, man? This dude sounds all tired. He's 21 years old.
He was 23 when he died.
21 years old. He's right. Yeah, fucking. It's just like, god damn, you know. And he sounds like a miserable old curmudgeon.
He does, yeah. He sounded like that from when he was a kid, which is hilarious.
This is some Arthur
in a fucked up kind of way.
Arthur Schopenhauer pessimism, fucking going on.
Yeah, he was super like. I get it though. I get it. And honestly, Closer, Geriatric Punk says, did Joy Division have only one album? They actually had 2 full-length ones. Unknown Pleasures was their first one, and then Closer was the one that... And it came out like a little bit after Ian Curtis died. Mm. They also had a an EP, which was, I think was called An Ideal for Living. And then they did Substance, which came out significantly after he died, which was kind of like a compilation of stuff that hadn't been like released.
Megan says, I've heard it and it was pants. He thought that album was pants. Go ahead and unsub. Go ahead.
I love that album. Actually, like Closer is my favorite sensory deprivation album. It's just one of those albums that it just makes me think of like wintry days. Yeah. And I love that feeling because I live in Florida and we don't ever get that in real life. So.
Dom's asking me about New Order. Yeah, they were good too.
I love New Order. I love Joy Division more. Yeah. But New Order are awesome also.
And look, man, maybe it's just not your thing. Maybe, I don't know how old you were. Maybe you weren't there to have the context. It was the beginning, I guess, of what you would call, I don't know, cold wave. It was very similar to goth. If you listen to Sisters of Mercy First and Last and Always, there's a lot of Joy Division in that. It's just a kind of a dressed up, prettier version. I want to say prettier. There's more guitars in it. There's a little bit more music in early Sisters of Mercy, but it's that same kind of cold vibe that Joy Division had. And if it's just not for you, it's not for you. And yeah, it was kind of primitive and crude, but that's what it was. I just
like that whole vibe. I like the whole vibe. Like I said, I like any music that makes me feel like I'm in a dead forest in the middle of winter. Yeah, and there's like no one else around. And it's just like, I love that whole vibe.
I'd be driving around in Boston, snow everywhere in the fucking winter and shit, fucking doing sales and shit. Fucking in between sales with fucking Joy Division going and it shit fucking just blended.
It just I love anything that evokes that. Yeah. I'm gonna jump right on that.
Everybody's jumping out of the stream because we're talking about bands that they don't know. We've only got 27 in the stream now. Yeah, fuck you. Y'all get out of here. If you don't know what we're talking about, learn.
It's all right.
That's where the music was.
It's all right.
Hold on, fuck this shit.
Oh, he's done with. Oh, he's gonna throw it. He's gonna.
Well, I have to get artistic.
You have to get artistic.
Yeah, that shit was 250s right there.
Oh, we're coming up into the 80s now?
I'm becoming like a French fucking auteur. Yeah.
Okay. You need a beret, like I said. I've told you this before. Yeah, I'm going to buy you a beret for Christmas, I feel like.
Do manly men wear wigs? Fucking right, man. They do whatever they want to do. They don't give a shit.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's kind of the entire point I was trying to make on this whole stream. Yeah. Was that...
A manly man dictates to you.
Doesn't worry about what is manly man.
A manly man dictates to you what's manly.
And it's like, deal with it.
Yeah. That's right. I'm just going to fucking dictate.
I can wear
I want to hold your hand.
There you go. It's like, I'm going to wear a sparkly eyeshadow and drink a big old drink with a fucking umbrella in it. And it's manly.
Well, we were watching.
Deal with it.
We were
like
watching
I said,
fucking. We were watching.
Just do that.
Clips of fucking old fucking wrestling and shit. Fucking. Some of those wrestlers were fucking, like, fucking Randy Macho Man Savage. They were fucking wearing all kinds of fucking crazy shit that,
well, I kind of feel like the whole
you wouldn't
80s,
think that was manly, but they were fucking,
I feel like the whole
Hulk Hogan and shit.
Glam metal thing
went to the wrestling.
Was hilarious to me because it's like, well, one, it was kind of like a repeat of like what the New York Dolls were doing, like in the early 70s.
Get you another drink.
We're gonna like wear all our girlfriends' clothes and shoes and makeup and stuff, and yet still it's manly. But like I said, they were doing that in the 80s, and I was totally about that. Because I don't know, I mean, if you grew up in the 80s and like in the early era of MTV, like all the dudes, like they were in new wave bands, it's like they kind of, like they were wearing makeup and they had fabulous hair and fabulous clothes, and like girls like loved that shit. You know what I mean? It's like, we didn't care if it was manly or not. I don't give a shit. It's like, we loved it. It was awesome. Lily Howell says, Clan of Zymox is my sensory deprivation band. They are actually playing here... We're outside of Orlando, in case you don't know. They're playing here in February or March of next year because I just did the poster for them. Tom has seen them here in Orlando. I've never got to see them, unfortunately, because I really like Clan of Zymox. But they played here at Independent Bar, which is now called Barbarella, which used to be called Barbarella. It's a big, long story. But he saw them a few years back, and he said they were like really awesome. But yeah, they're playing here sometime in the next... Somebody saying about Clan of Zymox.
Oh, awesome. Actually, they're
I said
a friend of ours is trying to get them to come back.
They are coming here.
They're coming back?
I did the posters.
Did the poster already? Okay.
Yeah. It's
Jenny did the poster for the fucking show.
I think it's in March.
March? Okay. What club?
If I'm shit, man, no I can't remember. It's somewhere here.
All right. We on the guest list?
I do maybe
we're gonna get our asses on the fucking guest list.
I mean, we'll have to ask Mark, but
you're staff, and I'm staff. I'm staff with you, staff by.
We're always trying to like sketch our way.
Yeah.
Well, because I do like a lot of posters for the shows and stuff, so it's like a lot of times I get in free, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, she did a show for. She did a poster for mannequins. I saw that shit up on the wall, and I was like, "Oh man, this is. We need a copy of that fucking poster. I want to hang that shit up in the house here." I save all the shit.
Which one
did you? Woman in a black Victorian dress with a big old fucking veil.
Oh, yeah, my Black Friday's one, yeah.
Spooky as fuck. And it says, what did it say underneath it?
It says Black Friday.
Black Friday. Yeah, and it says, I want that bitch framed.
Yeah, I did that one. I do posters for mannequins all the time.
Yeah.
I did one for Friday the 13th. Which is for this August is Friday the 13th. So I did a Friday the 13th one with like a black cat and a broken mirror with a skull in it and shit. And then I did one for they're having a Mad Hatter party.
Yeah.
Sometime this month. I can't remember when it was. The 21st maybe. And so I was really proud of how that one came out. I spent a long time like fucking around with that one, but yeah. I really like I love doing like theme nights. So, like I said, the one I did for, like, the bloodbath, I had a really good time doing that one.
Yeah.
Anytime I can do, they do pay me for them, but it's like, I have a good time doing them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And because I love doing shit on, like, themes.
You're talking about Susie and the Banshees. You don't want to forget the creatures, though. There was a lot of good creatures stuff that came
the creatures were good, too.
Yeah.
Susie and the Banshees, probably my favorite. Oh shit, man! Now I'm trying to think of like what my favorite album of theirs was. Juju, probably, but
Susie.
Yeah.
What was the one that had? I liked Tinderbox. Remember that?
Oh, that was good too. Ooh, it's hard to pick.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like one of these days, because I think somebody asked me a long time ago, like pick your top 10 favorite albums. It's like it was too hard. I couldn't do it. Like if you're gonna go to like a desert island. And you can only take 10 albums with you.
Oh, shit.
What were the 10 that you would pick?
Well, one of them would be Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me.
Man,
the other one would be Pink Floyd's fucking Metal. Remember Medley?
Yeah.
Or Metal? Yeah. Well, had echoes on it.
God, you could chill man, that'd be hard.
You can fucking just chill out to echoes. There's a whole side of an album and shit. Same as my dog was outside. Yeah. Fucking you can bust on prog rock. And prog rock.
No, some of it's good though.
Yeah. But
some of it's self-indulgent, but you know.
Prog rock, fucking a lot of that Pink Floyd was fucking a masterpiece.
I like Pink Floyd.
Yeah, really good.
I like a lot of that shit from back then. I like Pink Floyd. I like the Doors. I like all that.
That wasn't prog rock though.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying.
Doors was almost proto goth in some ways.
It was, yeah.
I think that was one of the influences, but so were the Stones. I mean,
you know what I was thinking about. Probably
some of that Stones was fucking really hard, the early stuff.
Yeah. This morning or the other day. Because I was like listening to my radio when I was out doing my power walk and Dolly's Car came on, which if you don't know was after Bauhaus broke up, Peter Murphy had a little band called Dolly's Car with Mick Karn, who was in the band Japan. They only released one album. It was kind of an EP. It was 7 songs on it. And it was called The Waking Hour, and it was really good. It came out in 1985, and it was kind of like... But it was very prog rocky. And then I was thinking to myself that Arcadia, the 3 dudes from like Simon, Nick, and Roger from Duran Duran... released So Red the Rose, the Arcadia album, also in 1985, which is also very prog rocky. Yeah. So I kind of feel like in the mid 80s there was kind of like a prog rock, a little bit of like a mini revival of prog rock in the mid 80s.
Dom is asking me about the first 2 albums from Iron Maiden. I don't know what the question is. Maybe he's asking me if I like
just
them.
To comment on them.
Yeah, Paul Di'Anno was the fucking shit. All right, I really liked the first 2. I liked both vocalists. Paul was great. So was Bruce. They were almost like 2 different bands, though. Iron Maiden and Killers was almost kind of like a power metal punk thing. It was it had a 70s hotness to it, heat, but it also had kind of like a punk rock threat kind of vibe to it, very kind of like street level. I liked the fucking topics of the songs. Paul fucking sounded great. The first album too, you know, fucking, what was that? Unchained Tomorrow. What was Before My Eyes? What was the name of that fucking song? Something or other Tomorrow. And then it was just that, yeah, they were fucking great albums, man. And then when Killers came out, the band was extremely tight. That was a fucking great album. Yeah. But, you know, they were not comfortable with touring with him. He had a fucking drug problem. So they got Bruce. And evidently, you know, some of the people were not happy with Bruce. Bruce wasn't really, they didn't think that he fit in with that band. He'd come from another band. I think it might have been Lionheart, I think is what the name of it was. It was just, and Bruce kind of had like a foo-foo image at that time on the street. You know what I mean?
You're so foo-foo.
Yeah, like he's a foo-foo. You know what I mean? So fucking when they hired him, they said, "You go right out right now and go buy you a leather jacket. Fucking get out, take that shit off, get you a leather jacket.
What is this?
Get you some fucking skinny jeans and a leather jacket, man. Get that fucking bullshit off there." Because he was fucking into, he was kind of prog rocky a little bit, you know. And but no, fucking Bruce was great, man. Bruce brought that band into greatness, and I like Bruce. I like Bruce as a man. He was an achiever, and he's a fellow short guy. So you know, it's gonna be in a short man mafia. You know, but he's evidently a great pilot. Motherfucker can fucking fly a whole airliner. But
how many of y'all can say that?
What was really great about Iron Maiden is that in the United States, it was kind of stereotypical to think of metal bands as fucking dumbasses, because bands like Motley Crue were. Those dudes are fucking dumbasses, okay?
Well, yeah, and like a lot of their fans, you had to admit, were kind of like meatheads.
They were kind of like meathead motherfuckers. And
sure.
Fucking, but Iron Maiden were smart guys. They were very smart, intelligent guys. And they didn't play the meathead game. They were pretty intellectual. And I like the fact that they stood up for England. They were very patriotic about England, which I admire patriotism in anyone. People should be proud of where they come from and their cultures. And I just liked them. I liked them. Fucking. I understood everything they were talking about.
I never had a beef with like older metal bands. I didn't like the whole like 80s metal thing, because I don't know, like I said, it just seemed like to attract a bunch of dumbass people, which it all
depended on the bands and how you were appreciating it and what you were going to do. Now, was Iron Maiden better than Judas Priest? At times,
see, I don't know. That to me just seems like they both seem like equally good.
At times, Iron Maiden was better. But I think Judas Priest overall might have been a better band. It was a little more varied in what it did. I think it was a little more innovative. It was around first. They had a lot more material. They didn't really kind of stereotype themselves. Iron Maiden, towards the end of the time, came out with some albums that were pretty fucking bad. Especially in the 90s and 2000s. But, you know what I mean? It was changing members and stuff. Man, it's hard to say.
David June asked, is Rush manly?
No.
But
they're good, though.
You can like them if you want.
They're good, but no. But
I'm not a fan, but, you know, but I'm not going to shit on people that are a fan. Because they're a good band. I recognize that. It's just, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Lily asks, you guys like Switchblade Symphony?
Yeah.
Yes. I actually really like Switchblade.
I have all their albums.
Back there, I have in my CD pile.
I hung out with Tina.
2 or 3 of their albums.
I hung out with Tina.
Tina Root,
yeah, at Man Ray's in Boston when they fucking toured, And I saw an interview with her from back in those days. It was like a couple months after that happened. And they asked her what the best club was, and she said, "Man Raised in Boston was great. Those people were great." And I was like thinking, oh, she's talking about me. Probably not though.
You're so vain.
But
you probably think this song is about you.
But no, they were good live. They were good live, but it wasn't destined to last. Evidently, that band didn't make much money. And it was poised to do something
which is a shame because they were a really good band.
Yeah, that band could have gone actually mainstream.
They probably just got sick of it.
I think they did, but had they stuck it out a little bit longer, maybe they would have made something.
Maybe.
But they broke up. They didn't officially break up forever. It's like kind of like they took a hiatus and never came back. Tina's now last I heard, a real estate agent. The other girl, last I heard, and I forgot what her name was. Some of you might. The other girl, last I heard, she was a massage therapist, whatever that means.
Because man, they fucking. Means. I feel like
rub and tug. I don't fucking know, but
yikes. Let's not say that. But I mean, in the 90s, they were kind of like one of the big.
Yeah.
That was something like all the goths in the 90s were listening to. I mean, that's a little past my time because I'm like more an 80s girl, but it's like I was into the 90s shit. And I really, really like Switchblade Symphony, but you know, I kind of feel like everyone was listening to that. I was going to clubs in the early 2000s, and they were still playing a lot of their shit. So, you know, and it's kind of a shame that they didn't get as popular or famous as I feel like they probably should have. You know, it always like bums me out when I hear about bands that I really liked, and then like 10, 20 years later, it's like, yeah, I had to get like a regular job. And now I'm like, right, that like always bums me out.
Yeah, DJ Maniac said that Iron Maiden, they're not exactly brilliant lyrics either. No. The thing about Iron Maiden is that you can go back to Numbers of the Beast or Peace of Mind. You can go back to those two albums. And even Power Slave, which some people say is their best album. You can go back, and those are some pretty superficial, almost kind of like a teenager fucking writing a damn story about something he studied. The motherfuckers are watching movies. They're watching movies and making a song about it. Or reading a book about something.
Like the Misfits and shit did that too.
They did that too, yeah. But,
and the Misfits were admittedly a lot more repetitive than that.
I'd have to say that the first two Paul Di'Anno albums had a lot better lyrics. They were more organic. It was kind of like something that you could tell. They were more artistic, kind of like something that was kind of made up on the spot. Twilight Zone, oh, that was a fucking great song. Yeah, it's about a dude fucking who's died. He's on the other side of fucking in a parallel dimension, watching his ex-girlfriend saying, "I'm gonna come get you. I miss you. You're gonna come over here to the other side and join me." Fucking shit. That's some fucking creepy shit. Even the Phantom of the Opera. I think Phantom of the Opera was just fucking. I mean, I liked that song, but I think that was just an instrumental. There was no, it wasn't. That had lyrics. I remember. Yeah, the Phantom of the Opera song was pretty good. The first two albums, I think, had better lyrics. They were more organic. Yeah. But when it comes to lyrics, if you're going to talk about lyrics and metal, Judas Priest had fucking fantastic lyrics. Especially the lyrics off that Sin After Sin album. That was my favorite album. You know, the 70s Judas Priest. Some people would say, well, British Steel. Yeah, that album sounded great. But artistically, man, Sin After Sin was the best. And Sad Wings of Destiny. Those are their two best albums. And Screaming for Vengeance, of course. That was a fucking great album, too. Even though I like Defenders of the Faith, that was fucking good. I remember when that came out. That came out when I was in Brazil. I'd be a fucking teenager playing hooky from school, staying up in my fucking apartment, fucking drinking, listening to fucking Defenders of the Faith, waiting for my mom to come home. Fucking have some weird shit.
I did that too, but I was listening to like Joy Division and Alien Sex Fiend.
Defenders of the Faith.
And Bauhaus and shit. Geriatric Punk says you guys should do album reviews like the movie Respect. We have thought
That's a good idea.
We've actually thought about doing like music because honestly, man, I was thinking about it earlier because I thought the question that I asked myself, if you had to just like take 10 albums like to a desert island, because you know that's like your desert island kind of shit, I don't think I could pick. Because honestly, if you just made me pick one, for an example, if you just made me pick one Nick Cave album, I couldn't pick. Sorry. Yeah. Because some days, you know, Let Love In is my favorite. Some days, Firstborn is Dead is my favorite. Some days, a different one is like Your Funeral, My Trial is my favorite. So it's like, I don't know if I could pick. So somebody's asking, Mr. Robato's asking, Jenny, are there no goth jobs like working at Hot Topic, for example?
No.
Honestly, okay.
Goth jobs are in clubs.
If you are lucky enough, I was lucky enough, because when I was younger, and I looked like a weirdo, and everybody told me, don't get tattoos, don't shave your head, don't get piercings in weird places, blah, 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 because you won't be able to get a job. But I was like, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. But I went to school for graphic design, and it turns out that some places, not all places, if you're a graphic designer, if you're an artistic person, you get a little bit more leeway. So I was able to get some kind of corporate-y jobs, you know, at newspaper, publishing companies, that kind of places. And everybody just thought it was kind of cute that you look like that because like, oh, you're the arty graphic design person. Okay. So it's like, so I kind of got away with shit because I was good at what I did. So I didn't have too much trouble finding jobs, but I know other people did back in the old days. It's probably easier now. I know.
Job today would be fucking Starbucks.
I know it's easier now. Yeah. Back in I was just lucky. I was lucky. Yeah. I covered my tattoos up. Like I put down my hair so they couldn't see that it was shaved. Like, you know, I tried to look as normal as possible, which, you know, let's be honest, isn't all that normal. But I was able to get away with it for a long time, and I was able to have kind of corporate-y jobs in publishing and stuff. But I don't know. But I did see like a lot of, like in the 90s, I started seeing people working at Hot Topic, stuff like that, which, like I said, is good if that's what you want to do. I'm not a retail person. My first job was at a record store in, man, the early 90s. It was probably like 91. Yeah, it was 91. I had a job at a record store in a mall. And I looked as normal as I could look for the shit, but I did not have a good time. I'm not a retail person. And even though it was like working in a record store, I'm not good at like pretending to like be nice to people that are stupid.
Jenny isn't fit for fucking society.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah. Now,
I'm fully aware of that. I've been aware of that since I was like a teenager, so it's like not a big revelation.
Yeah, they're talking about.
I have a hard time dealing with people, and like pretending that I don't hate them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like hard for me to like disguise my feelings.
Metallica did have good lyrics. Metallica's lyrics actually were better than Iron Maiden's lyrics. Now, Iron Maiden did have some good lyrics. They weren't as good as Metallica's, though. Fucking the lyrics, what's his name? Steve Harris. His lyrics were focused upon a certain subject. He was very kind of like mission oriented with lyrics. If he was going to talk about a subject, he'd stick right on that subject. It was hard for them to mix a bunch of subjects together. They couldn't be artistic and vague. The closest they could get to something like that would be like, oh shit. What was the one where focused on the Peace of Mind album? It's about looking in a damn pool and the dead people fucking and
dead people got really.
It was called the dead peoples were calling.
I'm not a metal person. You're asking the wrong person.
They're dead people down in the pool calling you in. Still Life. That was the name of that. They couldn't do a lot of songs like that. Still Life was a very good song. It had good lyrics. It was a unique topic that they had, I guess, made up, and it kind of had a lot of artistic qualities to it. It had elements of being kind of like abstract, And that was the weakness of Bruce Dickinson era Iron Maiden. It was literal. It wasn't very abstract. I didn't know that at the time because rock type music and hard music was evolving. Skinny Puppy had not happened. When I listened to Skinny Puppy, that's when I realized what lyrics could be. That shit was abstract as fuck. And I was like, how the hell are they writing this shit? I found out later how they wrote that. They would take a paragraph from a subject that they'd liked
and then like rearrange
and cut it up.
Yeah.
Cut the fucking sentences out.
Well, that was kind of like a big thing.
And then
there was even like a poetry set that had magnets.
Yeah.
That had just like words and you could rearrange it on your fridge. Yeah.
Throw half the shit out, throw it into a hat, rearrange it, and what was left, they tried to make a song out of that. And that's how they did that.
Yep.
And you could get the point across, but it was in a very abstract form.
Well, you could read your own shit into it.
Yeah, which instead of telling you what was going on, it was suggestion. It was all suggestion, and your mind was filling in the blanks.
Which, in a way, to me, that's a more successful. Because I think one of the things that we could keep coming back to this because I love this documentary. Yeah. The thing that was about Anvil. Mm-hmm. The problem with Anvil, if you guys don't know, who were like this band, and there's like a really good documentary about them. It's like, it's awesome and funny, but also kind of heartbreaking at the same time. Their thing was that they tried to be too literal. Right,
and you see, here's the thing. If you listen to Anvil, and then you listen to Iron Maiden, Anvil is trying to do the exact same thing.
They're talking about the same thing.
They're talking about the same thing. They're trying to do the same thing Iron Maiden does. It's just that they don't have the skill that Iron Maiden has. And fucking Iron Maiden was passable. Its quality was good. But the same thing done by somebody who's not quite as good, it fails epically. It's an epic fail. But a band as bad as Anvil would have done a lot better had they used Skinny Puppy's lyrical method of just cutting up a bunch of sentences and putting it together.
Because, like I said, people
would have read into what Anvil was saying.
People like a little bit of mystery.
Right.
If you're writing a song that says, I'm writing a song about this movie. Remember the scene
I saw
of this movie?
Mothra spread the thing,
it's like,
and then the thing blew up. And
that's lame.
Yeah, very lame.
No one can like, I was like, oh, okay, we're talking about that. Like, there's no mystery anymore. There's no, you can't.
There's no artistic.
There's no space for you in that.
Right.
You have to like make it. You don't have to make it like so vague that nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about, but you have to make it vague enough that people can like read their own situation into it. Because I kind of feel like that's what makes people resonate with a piece of art, whatever it is.
And says lame can be cool. Well, go listen to some fucking go listen to some Anvil and you tell me if that's cool.
That's what, and I felt so bad for them because they really seemed to not realize what they were doing wrong.
It was robotic, and it was very robotic.
I'm like, don't just like watch a movie.
It's not artistic.
Don't just watch, like, it worked for the Misfits, I guess. But it's like, don't just watch a movie and just like sing a song describing what happened in a scene in that movie. Mm-hmm. And then there was this thing, and it did this, and it did that, and it's just kind of like that. Nobody wants to like listen to that.
No, it's not artistic at all.
You can't like read you can't. There's no room for you.
There's no way to interpret anything. Right. It's telling you what it is.
Right. And it's just kind of like, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, it's this whole thing. But Mr. Roboto says, Jenny, you could have managed a goth band. I probably should at some of these days. Some of these, Somebody said, Gramthars Hammer says, do goths ever feel secret shame when they have to look normal to work for the man? Yes. Yes. I do not like, and the thing about it, because, like I've said before, I grew up my whole life, like, not really sure if, like, what I was doing, like, I always vaguely felt like I was doing something wrong, but I wasn't really sure what that was. You know what I mean? Because I'm not really, I don't know what other people's deal is, so I just, like, you know, so I'm just, like, having problems navigating. So it's like, when I had to, like, look for a job, like, I was lucky because I stumbled into a lot of situations, and I was in an artistic field, so already people were going to be more forgiving. But, you know, I was lucky to stumble into situations like, oh, you looked witchy, and we like that, so it's like, you know, you can work here. But it's like, I don't know, like, for a long time, it's like, when I would go to look for jobs, I would have to, like, okay, so I would have to, like, I have to wear my hair down, I have to, like, do this, I can't wear, like, weird makeup, like, what does normal makeup look like? I don't really know, and it's like, so, I'd look at myself and be like, is this weird? Is it? I don't know, so it's like, I couldn't really tell, and then sometimes I would go and I'd go to the interview, and it would seem to go fine, but then later they wouldn't call you, and I'd be like, did I look weird? And I don't know, it's like, I don't know, I have no idea. I never had any basis for comparison, like what normal was or like what weird was. So it's like, I never really knew if people were just not giving me a job because I looked like a weirdo, or if they just like weren't giving me a job because somebody else was more qualified. I don't know. It's like, it's a whole thing. So it's like, this is my life at this point. Lily says, alien sex fiend. That's why I dig your hair, Jenny. So seriously, I love alien sex fiend. I love alien sex fiend. I love all of that. Man, I love all of that shit. All that shit. Specimen, alien sex fiend, all that like fucking Batcave stuff. I love all that. I'm all into like the old Batcave shit. All the old death rock shit. I like a lot of the new death rock shit too. Or newer death rock shit. You know, I say newer, but it's like early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. Because I feel like there was kind of like a death rock revival. You had like Cinema Strange, you had like Bloody Dead and Sexy, you had like Frank the Baptist, you had like all that kind of shit. I like all that kind of shit too. But I kind of wish that would come back, because it's about time now. Been the cycle. When you get old, everything seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it was like a long time ago. All right, so Nick Cave was my first schoolgirl crush when I was younger. Man, Nick Cave is my favorite.
We've almost been on for 3 hours.
That's okay.
Okay.
I fucking love Nick Cave. I love the birthday party. I love, like, all of that shit that has to do with, like, early birthday party. I love all that shit. I have all their albums. I have all the Nick Cave albums. And if somebody made me pick a favorite, I honestly don't know if I could. Honestly, Henry's Dream is the one I probably listen to the most. But all of them are good. Honestly, I went through a period where I was listening to nothing but From Her to Eternity, which was like his first solo one. Because that is like, it's so sparse, but it's like so, it's like so sparse and like a little bit amateurish, but it's like, it's so fucking good.
They're saying I need a Karen wig. What is a Karen wig?
You know what a Karen wig. You don't know what a Karen is?
I know what a Karen is, but I don't know what the wig looks like.
You need that, I need to talk to your manager haircut.
Okay, yeah.
Which almost kind of looks like a 90s, like, Jennifer Aniston kind of haircut. Okay. But updated for the modern era. It's that kind of. It's like an upper middle class entitled white bitch haircut. You need that kind of wig. Why does my like soy latte not have soy in it, or whatever? I don't know what Karens do.
Mr. Ross says Tom's a metal guy. Do you guys clash musically? No, I'm not a metal guy. I started off as a metal guy. I like metal.
But, yeah, it's like, well, the thing about it is that we're not. I like some metal too. Yeah. But the thing about it is that we don't really have, I mean, when I met him, he was like more into like goth and new wave and stuff. And then he's like, oh, when I was a kid, I liked metal. And he's like, he still listens to a lot of that, but a lot of that stuff is good. I like that stuff.
Yeah, I'll only listen to classic metal. I go to 70s and 80s.
Yeah. So it's like, I like that too. So it's like, I'm not bothered.
You know, or, you know, like some people are going on about Metallica. Fucking, I had the first fucking Metallica album before anybody knew what it was. And we were sitting there when Ride the Lightning, and even Kill 'Em All came out.
You got a little.
Yeah.
Got a little.
Yeah. Kill 'Em All came out. We're watching. No, we were listening. Don't worry about it. I got it.
No, you don't got it though. It's this, and it needs
she got to fix it.
It needs to go over there.
Okay, Kill 'Em All came out, and we were going, man, this is a great band. But it didn't stick out that much versus the other bands that were around at that time. Like, we were listening to another band that was called Jagdpanther or Jagdpanzer, I don't remember. And also we were listening to Merciful Fate around that time, early King Diamond and Merciful Fate. And Metallica was just another one of the new ones. And then the Ride the Lightning album came out, and we were like, oh man, this is it. This is the new sound. And of course, Iron Maiden was putting out fucking good music too. I think that's when Power Slave came out. We liked that also. But when Ride the Lightning came out, we knew we were dealing with like something fucking really serious. That was going to change the game. Because it made Iron Maiden sound very tame. It sounded very tame compared to that. But, you know, Merciful Fate from that same time sounded a lot fucking darker and weirder than Metallica did. Metallica was very thrashy. We liked it. But it wasn't very spooky.
Yes, yeah, I like spooky
Merciful
shit.
Fate kind of had a real spooky sound to it. Kind of ghostly. We were also
Although I like that too. I like that too.
We were listening to Venom and Slayer also. All the, like satanic black metal. We liked that too.
See, I was kind of had a soft spot for Slayer.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
But by the time 86 rolled around, I was more into goth and girls. And there's something about you get laid or something, and then all of a sudden you start, well, I kind of like this. It's something hormonal. It's kind of hormonal shift. You liked the metal stuff, but I started to appreciate stuff like Duran Duran and Bauhaus and Sisters of Mercy.
Well, your windows of perception start to open up. That's all. Because I do kind of feel like people that are like, when you're like the super hardcore metal, super hardcore this and that and the other, it's like that seems to be like a kind of, like I said, like kind of a narrow window. And I'm not judging, like, because I know a lot of people, and I like a lot of that shit. But it's very narrow. But it's like when you get older, you kind of like learn to appreciate. Yeah. You like that still, but it's like you can like lots of other things without.
I think one of the bands that really kind of helped me. I think one of the bands that set me up for goth and new wave, even though I had been listening to new wave on the radio before I really got into metal, but it kind of brought me back to, because growing up in California we had KROQ and they were playing fucking very early Duran Duran and Adam. I like that too. But it didn't sound very tough, Metal sounded very tough. I like that later on. But I went back to other stuff because you start going, things don't have to be fucking tough all the time. Come on, open it up.
That's what I mean. We're going back to the Manly Man thing. You don't have to be. It's too. You don't have to be too try hard.
When you're a kid, it seemed like it was a million years, but it was actually like only 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
But one of the bands that really kind of fucking broadened my perspective was Motorhead. Motorhead album, when you looked at a Motorhead album, it was very impressive. It kind of had kind of like a fucking real tough kind of like a biker image to it. It was weird, this big fucking angry pig with fucking tusks and shit blowing up, like on the Iron Fist album, or not Iron Fist, fucking Overkill or something, And then you listen to it, and it is pretty hard, but it's also slow. And then as you listen to it and get used to it, you also realize that what this is very hardened up blues. Mm-hmm. And the lyrics are really good. There was an element of street wisdom to fucking to Lemmy's lyrics.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a dude who's fucking who's gotten the shitty end of the stick. He's kind of a loser, but that's only superficial. He's not a loser. He's a winner. You just you don't see that he's a winner. He's playing all these games with you, and then this is before the internet. You don't know who this is singing this. There was no access to them directly. Later on in adult life, you can go and you can watch Lemmy Kilmister and fucking Fast Eddie Clark and shit, and fucking Phil Taylor, Filthy Animal Taylor.
Yeah.
And you see the way they are with each other. And it's hilarious. They constantly drive fucking Lemmy. And they just drive him and driving him about stealing his girlfriends and doing this. And they just... and really, only dudes who grow up together can be that brutal to each other. And it's fucking hilarious. And it kind of like puts a lot of those lyrics in the proper perspective of who it was that was talking to you. And I'm sad that he died, but he did leave a son behind in California. He had I think he's an American son. He wasn't German, was he? No, he's American. He's got an American son. And he didn't know that he was fucking... Lemmy had to tell him later, I'm your dad, right?
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I would
like, you're my dad.
a brick.
Yeah, I'm your dad.
If Lemmy came to me and said he was my dad, I'd be like, for real?
He's like, yeah, me and your mom used to hang out. She didn't tell you, but I'm your dad,
That'd be so awesome.
And he did get to know his son. They became friends and shit in their adult life because the guy didn't know who he was. But, no, I liked Lemmy a lot. And fucking, there was something about that music that opened me up to a bunch of other shit that was like classics, like The Doors and fucking Led Zeppelin. And
the thing about Motorhead is that they're one of those bands, Motorhead, like the Ramones. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's very hard to dislike, unless you're lame.
Yeah.
It's very hard to dislike Motorhead. It's very hard to dislike the Ramones. It's just kind of like, so if you get into it, it opens up this whole other thing. Like you said, you getting into Motorhead, it opens up this whole other thing to you. It's like I said, they're super into the blues. It's like, with the Ramones, it'd be more like getting into like rockabilly, all that kind of shit. Because punk rock is really just kind of speeded up rockabilly is what it is.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that because I like a lot of rockabilly too. Oscar says, take a shot every time Jenny says, like, please do not do that.
No.
You will die of alcohol poisoning. Yeah. So if you want to do that, that's on you. Geriatric Punk says, not old enough to have seen the Ramones live. I never did either, but super jealous. I've seen, what's the oldest band I've seen live? The Cramps? I've seen the Cramps live. I saw Bauhaus live.
Yeah.
I saw Christian Death live. I'm trying to think of like the oldest band I would have seen.
Okay, Dom corrected me. His son's English, but he lives in California. Yeah,
okay.
All right. Yeah, I agree, Dom. Fucking Motorhead with fucking Phil Taylor and Fast Eddie, they were really good. One of the most divisive albums from Motorhead is one of my favorites. And that was Another Perfect Day. They had kind of a guest guitarist for that one. I don't remember what his name was. They kicked him out after one album because they just said he kept washing his goddamn feet. And he was just too clean. He kept washing his feet and shit.
Well, at least he's washing his feet.
And he kept showing up live to these shows just wearing fucking Bermuda shorts and they didn't like how he looked. But he was a prog rock guitarist. I don't remember the guy. And that particular album was fucking great. Another Perfect Day. And even Lemmy himself will say that is a great album. But they just didn't like that guitarist. I don't remember what his name was. And it was kind of an elevated Motorhead in the way that it sounded. It was good.
I mean, Motorhead are awesome. Yeah. I don't really think anyone will dispute you about that.
And the lyrics were good.
Who doesn't love Motorhead?
Everybody was just banging on all cylinders. And that guitarist sounded really good. But that guitarist was a studio-style guitarist. That's who you wanted in the studio. That's not the kind of guy you wanted to tour with if you were Motorhead. You know what I mean?
Well, those are two different things.
Two different fucking things.
Because a lot of times, if you had like a studio, you had like session musicians.
They're sending me the name.
That would work there. You know what I mean?
Not. Okay.
Gramthars Hammer says, would normies ever get past their goth phobias after they got to know you? That's kind of hard to say because anybody, I don't know. We've had like anybody because we have like some friends that are normal looking.
Yeah.
I mean, they're weirdos, like, in their minds.
Yeah, we have friends that look like supermodels.
But we have friends that are like normal looking. Nobody would know they were weirdos but us. Because on the outside they look normal. So I kind of feel like there's kind of a disconnect between people that look normal on the outside, but are cool. But
cool people are all kind of alike. Real cool people. They don't really care about.
That's what I mean. Because we have a lot of experience with people that are normal looking. Yeah. That will come up to you. You're just like at the bar, like drinking or whatever, like minding your own business. And then like you have these people come up and then I kind of feel like they want you to, I don't know what they want. They want you to like validate their coolness, or they want you to like, can we take a picture with you? Can we like hang out with you? And then like, you don't really want to do that because you don't know them and they're like really pushy. And then, but they won't go away though.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All right. A couple people are asking me about Megadeth. I don't know if Jenny knows who Megadeth is.
I know who Megadeth are. Jesus Christ. All right. What do you think I live under a rock or what?
Who's the lead singer of Megadeth?
I don't know what his name is. Right. I can't remember what his name is.
All right. They're asking you if you like that Megadeth.
They're all right.
Yeah. All right, yeah, Dave Mustaine and Megadeth and everything, they were good. That one, Peace Sells album, I bought that one. And I bought the other one, it was the one that had Hangar 18 in it. What was the name of it? It had Hangar 18, had Punishment Due, had a bunch of good songs on it. I thought that those were the two of his best albums. What was the name of that fucking album? Rust in Peace, that was the name of that fucking album.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. Dave Mustaine was...
that's right. That's that dude.
Dave Mustaine was Alex Jones before there was an Alex Jones. He was big into fucking world government, aliens. Oh, listen.
That's unfortunate.
No. Listen to her. Fucking, he was big into like government, fucking world government, fucking alien conspiracies, just fucking...
So he was a crazy person, is what you're saying. He's a crazy person.
No, just thinking about it. But he was also into comic books and shit, you know. He was a crazy person. What are you talking about? They might have an alien spacecraft. Probably not, but...
Sure, okay.
But he was just talking about Roswell, you know. Singing songs about Roswell.
We might be doing a show about that in a couple weeks. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, sing a song about
it was Roswell. In the poll.
Right. But, no, they were, you know, Dave was cool. They kicked him out of fucking Metallica though. You know, he had a cocaine problem evidently. He had a tight band though. I haven't heard anything he's done recently. There was a lot of bands from that era that were fucking great that were forgotten. Like I really liked one of them that fucking came and went kind of quickly. Well, it did a couple of albums, and then I was like, fuck them. And I stopped. It was a band called Queensryche. They had a little demo tape that they came out.
They got like kind of massive. They did like Silent Lucidity. I remember that shit. Yeah. That was a good song.
They started to go really fucking pop, and they went like Bon Jovi style shit. And I was like, what the fuck? They had a first demo album. It was called Queen of the Reich. It was pretty good. Yeah. And then they came out with an album called The Warning, which that album right there, just The Warning album, I think is one of the best albums ever made. And it was kind of like a concept album taking place in a future, kind of like Dune, where a fucking totalitarian government's taken over the earth. It's enslaved the nations of the earth using AI and mind control. And dudes were rising up to fight it and fighting against fucking fortresses of blackened steel with laser beams and shit. And it sounds fucking hokey as fuck, but it was the lyrics were very artistic. You know what I mean? They weren't doing it. They weren't doing that album fucking Anvil style. You know what I mean? You had to interpret what the hell's going on. It's almost kind of like you're listening to an album that's like singing about, and it's singing about it like it kind of is happening in the past. And it was a very good album. I liked that album. And then after that, they came out with another one called Rage for Order. That was a little poppier, but it had some good songs on there, like I Only See in Infrared. That was a good one. It started to get kind of prog rocky. in that album though. And I was like, what the hell is this gonna? But fucking, I think the guy's name is Jeff Tate, if I remember, the lead singer, and that motherfucker could sing. He could
sing, yeah.
He could fucking sing. It was kind of like Iron Maiden, but more polished. He was kind of like a Bruce Dickinson type vocalist style. It was just a good band. And then after that, they came out with an album. I think it was a double album, concept album called Operation Mindcrime. I think it was a double album. It might not have been.
Yeah, Geriatric Punk just said that.
Yeah, yeah.
Same time.
Now I had a friend who was just fucking. He loved that album, but I just didn't like it, man. I couldn't get into Operation Mindcrime, and I stopped listening after that one. But there are some Queensryche fans that say that is their best album.
I mean,
but I just didn't.
The thing I never liked about metal, like not metal, like because I like old metal, but it's like the thing I never liked about metal. It just seems all a little bit like too on the nose.
Yeah, some of it was.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's why I was saying, like, I really liked the Warning album because you could kind of understand what they were talking about, but it wasn't on the nose. You had to use your imagination. That one, it's not. You could not really rely on a single band for the long term. You knew they were going to fuck up. It was going to be like popcorn.
Well, they're just
certain
people.
Albums of greatness popping up.
Yeah, it's just people.
They're just people. If I was talking about over a long term in terms of greatness in metal, it would have been Judas Priest. They had some bad albums. No, I don't want to say that. They had some albums that weren't as good as other Judas Priest albums. Some of their songs are kind of like, oh, come on, man. You know. But in general, Judas Priest delivered. In general, Black Sabbath delivered.
I'm not going to argue with you.
In general, Ozzy Osbourne delivered. Although some of his shit was really poppy, man. Come on.
It was, yeah.
Good Iron Maiden albums delivered. Good Metallica albums delivered. Now, they were talking about Venom. Venom delivered. You knew what you were getting into when you listened to Venom. Yeah, they were a good joke band, like I said. But Venom was just like this fucking over-the-top, satanic, kind of epic fucking...
And I kind of feel like they were in on the joke.
Of course they were. That was all theater. It was like watching a horror movie.
That's the difference between them and Anvil, because I feel like, and particularly from watching the Anvil documentary, I feel like those dudes weren't entirely in on the joke, which... The thing, like I said, it's too on the nose, and you can't unless you're being ironic. Yeah. Like no one is gonna like listen to that seriously.
Yeah. The thing with Venom is that Venom didn't waste time trying to construct lyrics that totally made sense. It was emotional. You know what I mean? Evil in league with Satan. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. You know, really. They didn't try to all this high-minded bullshit where it was on the nose. They didn't care. It was just fucking rock and roll, basically, with a bunch of fucking scared Satan, and Satan smiles, and then the blood drips out on the no one's scared of
heaven. Like, that was like...
It's just whatever, you know what I mean?
I mean, that was a lot more effective in the 80s when people actually believed in Satan. I don't really feel like anyone... Other than weirdos, like
Warhead, unleash the lightning, Lord. Warhead. They're fucking mixing nuclear warfare and devils and demons and whatever. Okay. It was just awesomeness, you know what I mean? And it was kind of like Gwar. But
like I said, the thing about Gwar, though, is that...
You knew that was a joke.
One, they were they knew it was a joke.
Yeah.
We're just going to wear costumes and have ridiculous names, and we're going to spray blood and, throw severed heads at people at the show. And I've been to many Gwar shows, so I know. So, you know, it's kind of like that kind of whole thing. I kind of feel like I liked Gwar and that kind of shit because they were playing essentially, and the Genitorturers, because they were playing essentially the same kind of music, but they were ironic about it, I guess. They knew it was a joke. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Mega comes in and says the thing about Venom is that they could not play. They could play enough. They were putting on a show.
I'm not going to shit on it because, like, a lot of punk bands couldn't play. And I like a lot of that. So I'm not going to shit on
All right. Brad says, you guys consider Portishead goth or trip hop? Both.
Well, honestly, both. I love Portishead.
Both, yeah.
Gotta say.
Goths liked that band.
I really like Portishead. Yeah. Everything I've heard of them, like, I'm not a super fan or anything, but it's like everything I've heard of theirs was like really,
it was good.
Really good.
Yeah, it had a goth vibe to it.
Yeah. And a lot of goths were really, really like that. If you play that in a club nowadays, like, a lot of people would be into it. I don't even, like, we're not really super worried about it.
Yeah.
Camp Guy brings up the Cocteau Twins. That's another band.
Goths liked it.
That I fucking love. I love the Cocteau Twins.
Yeah.
Honestly, we were just at Mannequins on Saturday.
Yeah.
And he played a Cocteau Twins song. I was super excited about it.
Goths would fuck to Cocteau Twins a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That was what you fucked to. That and Mazzy Star. You'd be fucking the shit out of each other to Mazzy Star.
Yeah.
And a canopy bed and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was the sex music.
That was 90s sex fuck music.
Well, Cocteau Twins, I feel like that was more like 80s fuck music.
Well, yeah.
But
I was in the 90s though.
But it went on into the 90s, sure. Honestly, the Cocteau Twins are like super, super good. I really, really like them. Somebody said about Lollapalooza. I went to the first Lollapalooza in 1991. Yeah. In Atlanta. It was Rollins Band, Butthole Surfers, Susie and the Banshees, Jane's Addiction, 9 Inch Nails, Living Color. Who the fuck else was there? Those are the ones I remember. But it's like, it was Atlanta, and it was daytime, and man, I wanted to go early because I wanted to see the Rollins Band, the Butthole Surfers, who were like the first two bands that were playing. But I was going with my best friend at the time, and we had just graduated high school like a year before, and we were going with her boyfriend, and we were staying at her boyfriend's roommate's apartment, which was the filthy shit pit, and so no one got their shit together in time to like get to the show, and I was really irritated about it because I'm like, you guys can't even like get up and like shower and like get your shit together like to go to this. Okay, fine. Because I don't have any patience for people that can't get their shit together like in time to go do something. I just really don't. So it's like, you can't like, I gotta sleep, oh no, I gotta do this, and it's like, fuck off, just like, yeah, let's go. So I missed the first two bands, and I was super, super pissed. But so we finally got there. And so we saw Susie, we saw Jane's Addiction, we saw 9 Inch Nails. That was like one of 50 million times I saw 9 Inch Nails, like not even on purpose. I think I only saw 9 Inch Nails on purpose one time. Like I saw them and who opened for them? Meat Big Manifesto. Like I went to that show like on purpose, but every other time I saw them, they opened for someone else. Like I saw them opening for Peter Murphy. I saw them I saw them Lollapalooza. I saw them like opening for a bunch of other bands. So it's like, it's just funny how I fucking saw them accidentally so many times. And I like 9 Inch Nails. I'm not shitting on them. But like, so the first Lollapalooza, it was really good. I just wish that it hadn't been mostly the daytime and mostly like 100 fucking degrees. We had to like keep putting sunscreen on. It was Atlanta. I mean, not as bad as Florida, but almost. And so it was kind of like that. So like seeing Susie and the Banshees, awesome. Seeing them like in the middle of the day and like 90 degrees, doesn't really like, it's not real conducive like to the atmosphere. Just saying. But what are you gonna do? And the shitty, he's taking his clothes off. The shitty thing was
getting hot, man.
Is it?
Getting hot, yeah.
Okay. In 1994, 1995, there was a Lollapalooza, and it was not too long after Nick Cave's Let Love In had come out. So that came out in 94. So this must have been Lollapalooza 94 or 95. So Nick Cave was on Lollapalooza. L7 were also on Lollapalooza, and I was a big fan of L7. So the Lollapalooza that year was going to be in DeLand at the DeLand Fairground, which I lived in Daytona at the time. That was like 20 minutes away. I was super jacked. So I had tickets. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to see Nick Cave. This would be fucking awesome. Like mid-90s. I was all about it. And then, like, I go to sleep. I'm so excited. And then, like, the morning I get up, it's been storming all night long. And then my cousin, who was 2 years older than me, she calls me and she's like, your shit got canceled because the fairground in DeLand, which was like the Central Florida Fairgrounds, it flooded out because of the storms last night. So it's like the stage collapsed. So none of the bands are going to play. So they just like canceled it. And I was like so fucking bummed. So to this day, I have never seen Nick Cave live because I had tickets to see him back then after Let Love In come out. And the fucking storm ruined everything. Fucking Florida. Fucking Florida. It was so close. I was so excited. And it ruined it. And I'm still bitter about it.
It's going to be all right, Jenny.
To this day.
Do you realize it is like almost time for us to fucking end this stream?
No, it's not. We're having a good time.
I want to eat.
Do you?
Yeah, eventually.
Well, eventually. No one's rushing anything. All right, let's see.
We've been on for 3 hours.
3 hours and 26 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want to do a 4-hour show.
What are your thoughts on The Cure, says Brad?
Man, again, we've been talking about The Cure.
No, we haven't.
I'll be talking on other shows. The Cure was great. They were really good.
I really like The Cure. Although, honestly, I didn't buy anything of theirs after Disintegration because I graduated from high school in 1990. I bought Disintegration and I liked it, but then after that, I kind of felt like, well, I wasn't done with The Cure, but I was just kind of like, okay, well.
I bought it all the way up until Violet Mood Swings.
Yeah, like I liked some other songs like after that, but
they were consistently good.
They are like all their shit is good.
Yeah, that was one of the bands that was consistent.
Everything they put out is always like worth listening to.
They didn't put out anything bad. And there was a lot of stuff that they didn't put out that was good. That ended up like escaping on like bootlegs. There was a lot of bootleg stuff that got released and they're like, oh yeah, it's good too. I had a friend who collected bootleg, or he collected all Cure albums. And some of them were bootleg. This is back in the 90s. Shit that I'd never even heard of. You know?
I mean, they have a massive back catalog.
Yeah.
Because I stopped buying stuff of theirs in 1990, and I'm always like surprised because, like I said, I have my radio station, and it like throws up The Cure like pretty often, and I'm just kind of like, I don't even know this song. Okay, all right, like it's The Cure because it sounds like them. Brad says I graduated in 2002. Oh my God, you're a baby, and it reminds me of high school, even though it was an 80s band. Yeah, I mean. I graduated, like I said, I graduated in 1990. That was my senior year. And that was the year Disintegration came out. And I remember we all, like all the weirdos at school, like had that. And I liked it, honestly, I like it better now than I did back then. It aged really well. And I kind of feel like a lot of bands nowadays, like A Starry Night, were really influenced by that. So I think I appreciate it more now than I did at the time. But I still have to say that as far as The Cure goes, I'm like way more into their 1977 to 1988 era. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to comment on that?
No. Yeah, that's about right.
I'm just saying, like, I like all their old punk rock shit, and
it was all good. It was awesome.
Yeah, like 17 Seconds, all that sort of Pornography, Faith, all that shit was good. I liked the top, even Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, which was what, 87?
That's probably one of the best albums of all times.
Yeah, that's a great album too. Like I said, very diverse. It was
pop and psychedelic together with like goth, and that was like a great album. Gramthars, if you want to hear a fucking badass goth album, get The Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. Get that one. Well, actually, you don't have to get it. You can listen to it on YouTube. Fantastic album. Now, kind of like a harder goth would probably be Pornography. That was a really good album too, man. That album fucking drives
me
nuts.
To me, that album and Sisters of Mercy, First and Last Always, are kind of like the quintessential like goth rock albums. Because as much as people like say like go Bauhaus and stuff like that, which I love Bauhaus. I like Bauhaus even more than the Cure, but Bauhaus always had their own thing going on. I kind of feel like Bauhaus were kind of like all over the place. They had like more of a dark glam kind of shit. Not so much goth rock. Shit that became goth rock later on, like in the 90s. You know, you had fucking bands like Rosetta Stone and stuff like that. The bands they were copying was 80s era Cure and early Sisters of Mercy. That's who they were copying.
With a little bit of Joy Division in it.
That too. So I kind of feel like people that got into goth in the 90s, you know,
harkening back to that.
That was harkening back to the gothic rock kind of thing.
Because when that shit was coming out, I mean, that Sisters of Mercy was out when I was in high school, but there was no such thing as goth then. It had not been codified yet. You even had Bauhaus back then. We didn't have a word for it though. It was just some kind of weird art band music. It had not become a subculture yet. It wasn't really until the fucking very early 90s that you could call it goth. Now, Gramthars knows what I'm talking about. 88, in that 88, 89 era, I was living in Detroit, and there was a club there called City Club. No, it wasn't called City Club. What was that bitch called? We had St. Andrews Hall. Yeah, City Club. And then you had another one called The Shelter. And they were playing fucking weird-ass music. One of them was fucking Front 242. And the other one was Skinny Puppy, which was a kind of a local band, but they were from across the... they're from Ontario. They were from across the border in Canada. And everything was kind of coalescing into what eventually became goth, at least in America. And I watched that shit happen in Detroit. And it was a weird time. You saw girls that looked kind of like punk rockers. I didn't know what to call it. They looked like girls that looked like, had kind of like punk rock haircuts, makeup, fishnets. I thought that shit was sexy as shit. And then just weird pointy boots. I recognize them now as they were pixie boots. They were wearing underwear. Their underwear were on the outside of the fishnet
I remember those
leotards.
Days.
Remember those?
Yeah.
And big black Susie haircuts and big black Susie eye makeup. And I didn't know really what to make with it. I just thought it was like punk rock. Gramthars would know what I was talking about. They were kind of like, they were the same kind of girl that you would see little Jean Petrowski and her friend, a little punk rock girl, the little redhead, and then the fucking girl with the mohawk. I forgot what her name was. He would remember who it was. It was that kind of chick, and they were all hanging out downtown. And then I saw some dudes, they were just cool as fuck. I was like, who the fuck I didn't know who I was looking at. But that was Kevin Key and David Ogilvy from fucking Skinny Puppy.
Yeah.
Hanging out in there. You know. And they were much cooler than me. I wasn't going to go fucking talk to those people. It took a couple of years for it to all coalesce into what I would call be the goth scene. But then I had to move away, and then a couple months later I was in the Army. And while I was in the Army, that's really when it kind of became a thing. So I had to wait a couple of years until I got out of the Army and was able to go to Man Rays in Boston. And that's really kind of where the scene had been fully fucking formed. You knew how you were supposed to look, and it had changed. Because it was now very 1700s looking, kind of Anne Rice, kind of Interview the Vampire type, mixed with fetish wear. You know?
Man, I remember reading Anne Rice when I, like, in the early 80s, and that shit blew my fucking mind. Yeah. Between, like, reading Anne Rice and reading Clive Barker, that, like, blew my fucking mind in the early 80s. Yeah. Because I was a kid, you know what I mean? But it's, like, it's weird because, like, people nowadays, I don't think, if you didn't grow up in that time, it was something that nobody really knew, like I said, nobody really knew what goth was. I didn't know what goth was. There wasn't really a goth thing until the 90s.
Yeah.
And honestly, I had been into the shit since...
Early 90s.
I had been into the shit since, like, the early 80s when I was a kid. Because I was kind of like, I like all this creepy shit. I like this creepy music that I was, like, hearing from various sources. But I didn't have, like, a name for it. I didn't have, like... There was nothing to, like, grasp onto. I didn't know anybody else that was into that kind of shit.
It had not crystallized into anything.
Right. And it's like, so I kind of feel like for a lot of the 80s, I was kind of lucky in the sense that, like, you know, junior high was, like, sucky because everyone just thought I was a Satanist because no one knew what goth was. There was no framework. When I was in high school, it was slightly better because I did, like, I met some people that were, like, some people were, like, into punk or they were into, like, ska or something like that. We all kind of, like, hung out together, and it's kind of like we kind of had a little scene going. But, you know, my brother was in a punk band. He was a little bit younger than me. So there was, like, a little bit of, like, a punk rock thing going on. So we hung out with, like, punks, but there wasn't really, like, a coalesced... I feel like there wasn't really a coalesced goth scene until the 90s, at least in Florida. I mean, from my experience.
It was the same thing in Detroit.
Yeah. You know, where I grew up, there was, like, nothing. It was, you know, I grew up in Daytona Beach. It's, like, very rednecky. So, you know, I knew some people, but nobody was, like, you know, I had some friends that were, like, most of the same shit as me. They liked Bauhaus and Cocktail Twins and stuff.
That's what they looked like until...
I know, that's what I looked like when I was a kid,
like
too.
Until the 90s. This is what the ones that ended up as goths looked like this.
Yeah, well, that's
until the very early 90s.
You didn't have... We didn't have Hot Topic until I was, like, old.
Right.
I shopped at me and my little brother, who's 4 years younger, we shopped at we went to the Army Navy store.
Yeah.
And thrift stores. We would buy, like, old lady, like, I would buy, like, old lady, like, black lace dresses. We'd go to the Army Navy store and buy, like, old jump boots. That's just what you wore. Or you had to make your own shit. Yeah. Or you had to, like, mail order stuff.
Yeah, Grandpa's going, that was a Trenton goth. Yeah. But the thing is, we didn't have a word for it.
That's what I mean. There wasn't really any kind of, like, and like if you went out looking like that, people didn't know what to make of it.
Yeah, and that girl that I just showed you is a real girl that me and Gramthars knew, and her name was Jean, and there was only like about 4 or 5 other ones at the school, and that was about 86 or 87, and that's what it looked like. It wasn't until the very early 90s that it had kind of crystallized into what I kind of feel
like in the 90s, like the early to mid 90s, I feel like goth kind of went mainstream. Mm-hmm. You kind of had it come up, like Tim Burton got famous, like you had all the kind of shit, like later on you had like Underworld, you had all that kind of stuff. So it's like people had a context or a framework.
Right.
They knew where you were coming from.
Right.
Prior to that, people didn't really know, like, what your deal was. And if they don't know what your deal is, then they're going to, like, fuck with you about it. So there was that whole issue, too. Like,
you need to pull out your high school pictures. You probably don't have any high school pictures left.
I do somewhere.
Yeah.
I still have, like, my natural hair color. When I was in high school, my natural hair color, in case you guys don't know, is bright copper red. I'm a ginger. I have no soul. I know. When I was in high school, my hair was kind of like this, but it was only like, it was half shaved. I had this half was shaved, and then this half was like poofy, but it was all like copper red. So I had like copper red like on here, but it was like shaved on this side. I had 2 piercings. And everything I wore in high school was band t-shirts, a dark green trench coat that I bought at a thrift store for $3.
Yeah.
And boots that I bought at the Army Navy store. That's what I wore in high school. This is why everybody made fun of me. I had my like cool Cure shirts. I had my Mighty Lemon Drop shirts. I had an Alien Sex Queen shirt.
Yeah, in the South that wouldn't have flown. Up north.
Tell me about it.
In Michigan, nobody would have noticed.
But down here,
like, oh, that's fine.
Down here, it was a little bit different.
Yeah,
it
was hot here, It's hot. They had no idea what you were doing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Nobody... Honestly, I grew up in...
Like, you're not listening to Molly Hatchet?
Daytona Beach, you guys.
Yeah.
Daytona Beach.
What's up, Pookie?
I grew up in Daytona Beach. I was born there. I grew up there most of my life. And it's better now, but it's like, at the time, it was very rednecky. The main radio stations in town, because that was kind of like a thing back then, were a country station and an old, like, you know, a southern rock station. They played like Leonard Skinner, the Eagles, that kind of stuff. Those were like the two main radio stations. You didn't have anything else. Every now and then, when I was a kid, you could get the college station from Gainesville, you know, if you kind of fucked with your shit, like if the weather conditions were right, and they would maybe play like REM or something, which would be cool, like back in the 80s. But that was about it. Yeah. And you had MTV. That was pretty much it. Yeah. MTV was like the savior. Yeah. Gotta say. That played all like the new wave shit.
Stop it, Pookie. Don't bite that.
Yeah, bust out your high school pics. I'll have to like, you know what? If you
Stop,
like,
no.
If you remind me, I'll scan it. I gotta find it, but I'll find it. I had half my head shaved in high school, but my hair was still its natural color, which was bright red. But I still had half the head shaved. But I had it like for the high school pictures. High school pictures, you either had to wear like that fucking black shit they made you wear, or I was in my chorus dress. Which, you know. Yeah. I might have some. Geriatric Punk says Marilyn Manson?
What?
What about Marilyn Manson?
We were fucking grown and long gone out of high school. By
Marilyn Manson.
Fuck Marilyn Manson.
We have like conflicting feelings about Marilyn Manson. Like, he's from here. His name's Brian Warner.
He's a friend of ours.
Yeah, he's from this area. Not originally, but he did like live here for a long time. So I kind of blame Marilyn Manson. I know it's not his fault, but I kind of blame Marilyn Manson for mainstreaming what used to be kind of a cool fucking, you know, it early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. You go to a goth club, you're waiting in line, waiting to go in. Some basic bitch, some Karen behind you, in today's parlance, is behind you slumming. Oh, we're going to do some weird shit. We're going to like hang out with these weird people. So they're behind you in line, and all of a sudden they just shout at you, Marilyn Manson, which I've had happen more than one time.
They would just call you Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
They'd be driving by, Marilyn Manson. Man, fuck you.
I didn't even like Marilyn Manson. Yeah. Like, why are you yelling that at me?
Marilyn Manson was pop music. It was pop rock. I mean, it was fucking top 20. If I remember correctly. It hit the top 20. It was kind of revolutionary when it hit, but it wasn't revolutionary for us. It was revolutionary for y'all. It really.
That's what I mean. That's what like made me mad about it. It's like, honestly, I'm walking through the mall, like in the late 80s, like 89, 90, and somebody says to me, Lydia, from Beetlejuice. Yeah. And at that point, I was kind of like, bitch, I've been dressing like this since 1984. Yeah. I know the movie just came out for you, and it's like that because when Beetlejuice came out, I was like super excited because I'm like, oh my god, a real goth girl like in a movie, and it's like I'd never seen that before, but everybody else saw that shit too, and so like now you can't like walk down the street and everybody thinks you're like impersonating her. I'm like, no, I'm just like, I've been dressing like that.
That was a phenomenon that had been happening
for years
for a long
before
time.
That, and it's like now you guys are just noticing it, so now everybody's gonna call me that. And it's like when the Matrix came out, I had the same problem. It was like, hey Matrix, hey Neo, hey, you know, they do that.
Goth was retroactive. That
Jesus Christ,
that word goth came from Rolling Stones. In the late 80s. Stop it, Pokey. It was when the Rolling Stones described Peter Murphy as somebody like a gothic pixie.
I kind of feel, gothic even goes back further. Like, Joy Division were called gothic, Susan the Banshees were called gothic, the Doors were called gothic back in, like, the late 60s.
But it really stuck when Rolling Stones described described Peter Murphy as a gothic pixie.
Victor said, at my school they used to yell at Columbine. Yeah, we got that too.
And once
I was out of school by then, thankfully.
Once Rolling Stone called him a gothic pixie, things that looked like that started to be called goth. And then retroactively, things that were happening in the early 80s and even the late 70s, even the 60s, like the Doors, some people started to say, that's kind of gothic. So it was retroactive. It was put retroactively on things. But even in the early 90s, it was not cool to be called goth. We were at Man Rape. If people said, "Are you goth?" they would fucking deny it. They'd say no.
Well, no one wanted to be associated with that term after it had become.
You're right. That was something.
It had become so sullied at that stage.
Right. They would deny being goth. I think Andrew Eldritch denied being goth.
He still does, as far as I know.
Yeah. So, it was just a cultural phenomenon that was placed on things, really. But, you might as well embrace it. Like, yeah, it's what it is.
I'm not bothered by it nowadays, but it pissed me off at the time because, like I said, I don't really appreciate being called, like, as much as I loved Lydia from Beetlejuice, it's like I don't appreciate being called that, like, in 1988 when I've been dressing like that for 4 years, like, several years before the movie came out. Just because now I'm represented in a movie. Yeah.
There was a bunch of shit that's goth that was never fucking called goth, but I would say it like, bands like fucking the legendary Pink Dots. Stuff like the old neo-folk bands like Current 93 and Death in June. They're not called goth, but gothic people listen to that, and I'd put it in there. It'd be like gothic folk, It's just fuck it. I don't care to explain it anymore. It just, and there was some stuff that was fucking just openly goth that kind of sucked too. You know what I mean? Fucking.
So, well, like it's that whole try-hard issue. Like we were talking about, like the manly man thing.
Right.
If you have to like go so over the top,
then it starts to suck.
Because to me, I mean, the whole thing about, like, I think the reason that all of that stuff pissed me off so much, and still does, even though I'm old now, was that I grew up in a time where there was no, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't an identity that you could, like, latch onto. There was no Hot Topic. There was no, that wasn't a codified scene. Yeah. So I grew up being a girl, and I was just kind of like, oh, I really like horror shit. I really like Morticia. I really like all that kind of witchy stuff. But I didn't really have, I didn't know anybody else that was into that kind of shit.
Lily mentioned Black Tape for a Blue Girl. Yeah, they were goth.
Oh my God, I have I have a couple of theirs back there too. Right. I have like a stack of CDs back there, and you can't see them.
Right.
But I have that as well.
Yeah, and that's what he's talking about. Looking at this, those weren't goth kids; those were vampire kids. Yeah, that was another thing.
That's a whole other thing.
Vampires are a gothic concept. But goths aren't vampires. I guess that's the best way to put it. There was some goths were kind of vampiric. But that's not what goth was. That was just like a little thing. That was like a subculture of it,
Well, I feel like there's kind of like a whole... I mean, and the reason that the subculture has persisted...
I feel silly talking about this shit because it goes back so far, you know what I mean?
Well, the reason that the subculture has persisted for this long is because it's a mindset. It's not really... I mean, you're born... Like I said, I didn't even, have a word for it. I didn't know anybody else that was into the shit. I was just kind of like, I really, really like creepy shit. I like ghost stories. I like the Addams Family. I like the... And when I heard... early goth music, like in the late 70s, early 80s, I'm like, yeah, I like that. That's my thing right there. And but I didn't know that there was other people that were into it.
Yeah, Lily said anything on Project Records was ethereal or goth. Yes, it was. And the ethereal was goth.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked a lot of that.
They had a lot of good ethereal stuff. Man, you remember, oh shit, The Shroud? The Shroud was a good...
I fucking love The Shroud. Shut up with that.
Yeah, fucking...
I still like The Shroud.
Yeah.
I have a couple of their CDs back there also.
It was kind of like the gothic version of fucking Led Zeppelin. fucking Where the Wind Blows is fucking definitely Stairway to Heaven. It's very close to it.
I don't know. I feel like Day and Night is more like the Stairway to Heaven. You are day and I am night. Never the two shall meet. You know, it's that kind of whole shit.
Well, shit.
Yeah, Lily says I was born goth. Like, I kind of feel like I was. Like, I didn't even know there wasn't a word for it, but I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I was just like, I like creepy shit. And I didn't know that there was other people that liked it. I thought it was just me, and I was a weirdo. But you know, I think
Lily's impressed. I know the Shroud. Yeah. She goes, yes, the Shroud. Yes.
Oh my god, I fucking love the Shroud. Yeah, the Shroud. I have like a Dark Moon Night, and I might have another one back there too. But there's like a big stack of CDs.
That was another music you could fuck to.
Oh, and big time.
Canopy Bed. Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
I really like the Shroud.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're
no not. Feelings to hold me down. Oh, where the wind blows. Yeah. You guys want to hear a good gothic song? Fucking go. Just look up the Shroud, Where the Wind Blows. That's a fucking good song.
Man, that whole album was good. Yeah. I really liked that album. I liked all that fucking shit. Yeah. I'm honestly, like I said, I'm more like an 80s death rock kind of person.
Yeah.
But some of that 90s shit was good too. But I kind of like that, like a more ethereal goth kind of shit. Yeah. I like, I'm not shitting. I like a Rosetta Stone. I like, who else came? Raised in Black. They were all right. Yeah. Who else came out in the 90s? Switchblade Symphony is awesome. I don't know. And then also, I really liked, was this 90s or 2000s? I really liked the, what do they call it? The fucking, that revival they had that was like all kind of like 20s kind of shit.
Oh, you're talking about
what's that word? That
Rasputina. They were doing.
Rasputina are cool too.
Stuff like that.
Although that's like
Dresden Dolls were doing.
Dresden Dolls. I fucking love the Dresden Dolls. All that kind of stuff that was like a cabaret, like the cabaret goth. I love that kind of shit because I feel like there was like a big resurgence in that. So I really like that. But I don't know, man. There was a lot of good shit. I like a lot of shit. Yeah. I like a lot of punk shit.
Well, shit, we've been going on for near 4 hours. Lily likes Rasputina. Odora. Remember Odora? It was a long time ago. Yeah.
Fuzzbox. Oh my god, I remember them. Yeah. We've got a Fuzzbox and we're going to use it. Yeah. I think I had that album on vinyl. I think it's gone now, but...
Specimen.
Man, Specimen rule.
Yeah.
I fucking love Specimen. I love it. Like I said, I love all that Batcave shit. Yeah, Amanda Palmer hated being called the goth band too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Amanda Palmer's solo stuff, which I like some of her solo stuff too, but I wouldn't call it goth, but it's still good though. Dresden Dolls was kind of more, they were like a cabaret kind of shit, but it's goth adjacent.
My ex-wife had this,
I'll allow it.
My ex-wife had this CD that was a goth bands, nothing but goth bands, doing cover songs from Dead Can Dance, man. It was fucking great. Maybe you guys might remember fucking what the name of that album was. I had
the goth bands covering David Bowie.
Yeah.
And I also had the goth bands covering Bauhaus.
That would have been good
album.
Too. This was goth.
I have it back there somewhere.
Goth bands covering Dead Can Dance. That was around 1996 or 7. It was a fucking great album.
Honestly,
I just can't find it. I forgot what it was called.
Speaking of which, when Bauhaus toured, like with their, resurgence or whatever, in the late 90s, they covered Dead Can Dance's Severance, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It wasn't on that album.
David Jim says this is a good show, y'all. I hope you're liking it. Hoping for more BS scenarios of X versus X. I don't know what you're talking about. Based on 3-6 every time. Okay. Well, look, Jen, we've been fucking streaming for 4 hours.
Lily says love the goth talks.
We got to get off of here. We've been on here for 4 hours, and I got to make us something to eat.
What are you gonna make?
Tacos or meatloaf, one or two. I got both.
We had tacos earlier.
Yeah, I could have another one. Doesn't matter to me. You want some meatloaf? We can finish the meatloaf off. Meatloaf and potatoes. Baked potato.
That sounds good, actually.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
All right.
Let's go ahead and shut it down then. We've been on for about 4 hours.
All right, so we're coming back Friday night.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Charles Whitman.
Okay.
Texas Tower.
Yeah, that's a good case. I know all about that bitch.
We saw the movie with Russell.
Kurt Russell in that bitch.
It's in the Crystal Sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just watched that not too long ago.
Yeah, I also read about the case, though, fucking in the 90s.
So we're going to be talking about that, dude. Yeah. That was what won in the Patreon poll this week.
Okay, we'll do that.
We're going to be talking about that on Friday night.
Charles Whitman.
But yeah, so it's been a fun show, you guys. David June says, I want meatloaf. We have some left over. Tom made some the other day.
Yeah.
But
made 2 big ones. Ate them bitches up. All protein.
Yeah, it's all meat.
It's all protein, pretty much. There's breadcrumbs in it, but whatever. Meat on meat on meat. You're kind of like that thing from Sliver.
That's what I just said.
Meat.
It's not Sliver. It's
Slither, right?
Slither, yeah.
Slither, yeah. That's what I said. Slither.
You said Sliver.
Oh, I'm drunk.
That's a total...
Sliver and Slither.
That's that movie with fucking... Isn't Sharon Stone in that?
I don't know.
I feel like that's a Sharon Stone movie. We don't know what we're talking about. It's late in the night. It's Wednesday night. All right. So we will be back on Friday evening talking about Charles Whitman. I'm sure that's going to be like a bummer, but okay. So yeah, we'll see you guys later. Thank you very much for dropping by. Thanks for super chats. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you guys on Friday evening. Goodbye.